I'm going to call to order the City of Concord Finance Committee meeting for Monday, June 1st, 2026. I will mention two things. One is I have forgotten to mention previously that if there is anyone in the audience who requires assistance with their hearing, we do have headphones available at the Concord TV booth in the back where Michael is waving his hand. These can assist you to hear our proceedings better if you need. Also, I'll just mention, as I have in the past, that for the general public and for those at home watching at home, that tonight we are meeting, the City Council is meeting as a committee of the whole. We're meeting as the Finance Committee to continue to receive information and presentations on the proposed fiscal 2027 budget from staff. With that said, I will call the roll. Councilor Brown.
Here.
Mayor Champlin is present. Councilor Davey.
Here.
Councilor Fennessy.
Present.
All right. Councilor Foote will be delayed. Councilor Grady Sexton is excused. Councilor Horn is excused. Councilor Caleb.
Here.
Councilor Keach is delayed. Councilor Kretovic.
Here.
Councilor Kurtz.
Present.
Councilor Schlosser.
Here.
Councilor Schultz.
Here.
Councilor Seku is delayed. Councilor Todd. Here. All right. We have a quorum. I will entertain a motion to approve the Finance Committee meetings of May 18th and May 21st.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Brown.
Yes, I have a few item omissions that were made that I think are important for the minutes. On 518, I would say it was page 7. Councilor Horn asked a question of Mr. Rabaitis if he would agree with the school districts being one. I think that's important to document in the minutes. And also, Councilor Caleb made an important point at the beginning. So I would say in page 1, she asked the city solicitor, and he confirmed that 91 requests are a legal right.
Councilor Horn is not present. Councilor Caleb, do you wish to have the minutes changed?
Yes, I think so.
All right, will that be noted? All right, so noted. All right.
And Your Honor, I have one for the minutes from 521 on page 4, CIP number 671. We were talking about the Knox box, and during the meeting, Mr. Thompson changed the dollar amount. If we could include that change, what that was changed to in the minutes, that would be great.
Where is that?
On page 4, it was during the meeting when Chief Chisholm pointed out that the amount was incorrect. And
which amount are you talking about, Councilor?
It was it's on page 4.
65,000?
It's on page 4, CIP 671. The amount was changed, and I think it should be included. I don't know what it is. So I would like that.
In the actual spreadsheet, it just wasn't correct on the slides that he created just for the meeting.
That's
so it
correct.
actually was okay.
Okay.
Okay, if we could just have the
We did
correct
have
number.
that conversation, so.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Mr. Thompson corrected the presentation here at the table, and what was presented online when it was posted is correct.
That's
It
what
is
I just
irrelevant what the wrong number is.
Yeah, and I'm still looking for, I mean, are you talking about the $65,000 that's noted in the first bullet on page 4?
No, he made a correction, so I think maybe it would be important
Counselor.
to note that it was fine because the people watching would see a difference.
Counselor, it's not referenced in the minutes at all,
Okay.
so I'm
That's
not going
fine.
to entertain
That's fine. I just thought it was relevant that there was a change made during the meeting of the presentation.
All right, thank you. The minutes would be amended to include Councilor Caleb's change. Those in favor of the minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. That brings us to this evening's presentation by the city manager, special revenue funds.
And members of the council, Your Honor, so we'll special revenue funds that includes parking, airport, conservation property, revolving loan, fund, the golf fund, arena, and solid waste, and then the enterprise funds, which includes water and wastewater, and then I'll just touch on the appendices, which, so people at home know what's in there, what they can find, and of course this is all online. So the first item you'll want to be is agenda item number 4, which is the parking fund, and you want to start on page 166, and that's revenues. And for fiscal year 26, revenues are projected to be better than budget by $148,000, and that is mainly due to parking penalties. That's up $50,000. Metered parking fees are up $123,000. Rental income is down $32,000, and finance charges are up $20,000. For fiscal year 27, budgeted revenues are down $41,000 from the fiscal year 26 budget, mainly due to reduction of the transfer in from the Sears Block TIF of $300,000 parking, $300,000. Parking penalties, metered parking, and rental income are all projected to increase in fiscal year 27. If you look at expenses on page 167, go to the next page. For fiscal year 26 projected, expenses are under budget by $230,400. That's mainly due to wages and benefits under budget. Fiscal year 27 expenses are budgeted to decrease by $311,000 or 9%. The notable changes are wage and benefit increases $80,000, that's due to contracts. Debt service decrease of $513,000. Transfer out to general fund increase of $166,000. Transfer out to capital decrease of $50,000. And the revised parking pro forma, and then I'll go to the revised parking pro forma. So the reason I say revise, you'll see there's all new pro formas out there. The only change is the page number, not the numbers on the page. The page number is three digits higher. So if you go to the revised pro forma, and look at that. The first column, you'll see that revised budget for revenue and expenses are budgeted loss of $352,000. That was for fiscal year 26. The second column is the fiscal year 26 estimate of how the fund, we believe how the fund will end this year. The same projected net line shows an estimated fiscal year 26 gain of $26,000. That's $378,000 better than budget. Ending working capital is projected to be $2.3 million, better than the target working capital amount. The next column for fiscal year 27 budget in the fund is budgeting a loss of $83,000, and this would decrease the ending working capital to $2.2 million. Please note that in the third row down from the Sears Block TIF, does everybody follow that? Sears Block TIF district for fiscal year 26 was the last year of the transfer in to support the debt service for the Store Street parking garage issued in 2005, 2007. So your garage is paid for. You will also see the major capital expenses planned for fiscal year 28 and 29 in the bonded CIP line, and the associated projected debt service amounts to support these bonded is below that. I've made significant changes in the capital program, greatly reducing the bonded project in all funds. This effort resulted in corresponding changes to future debt service costs, as you can see here. While this pro forma shows future years' annual losses, the ending working capital remains solid for several years in the future. City Council may have to consider rate increases. You haven't done much rate increases in parking for a long time, but you'll have plenty of opportunity to get in front of that if you want. Any questions before I move on to airport?
Any questions for the city manager on the parking fund? Councilor Brown.
Yes, looking at the parking fund on the first section, and it's page 166, the revenues are $481,000, but in 2025 they were $537,000. What changed? Because it looks like we are issuing more tickets and there's more kiosk transactions. Why is the revenue lower?
Well, there's a number, actually, I'll have Tim come up. There's a number of reasons for that, and put that in here.
166.
So the question is regarding the parking penalty line?
Yes.
That is primarily driven to, we had fuller staffing back, let me phrase that. We don't have a full complement of parking enforcement officers currently, so our ability to catch and get the revenue from parking penalties has been reduced as they're stretched out thinner and we're covering more time with the 2 vacancies that we've had for several years.
Okay. Follow up?
Follow up?
And so we still have those 2 vacancies?
We do. We're hopeful that, and again, I've had multiple opportunities with the parking division to be hopeful for filling those positions until we see actual pen to paper and hiring. I remain cautiously optimistic, but not going to commit one way or the other to the vacancies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kurtz.
Asked and answered, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. Had a question on page 166, showing that the rental income is going to go up about 200,000 over 26 and 25. And so my question was just, is that just based on an increase in rates or usage, or what do we anticipate?
That is
there?
being driven primarily, the Bindery Redevelopment LLC development agreement has now reached the end of their discounted parking lease rates. They are now required to pay market rates for parking leases as of July 1st.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the parking fund? Seeing none, Mr. City Manager. Airport Fund.
Airport.
So you want to go to agenda item number 5. You want to go to page 173. So for revenues, for fiscal year 26, projected revenues are ahead of budget by $23,000, and this is mainly due to fuel markup and rental income being ahead of budget. Fiscal year 27, revenues budget to budget are up $29,000 or 6% due to an increase in rental income, which is $23,000, and fuel markup of $5,000. The next section for expenses, budget to budget, are up $104,000, and this is due to, or that's 20%, and that's due to wages and benefits of $9,000, debt service increase of $33,000, and transfer out to capital $57,000. Next, if you go to the revised airport pro forma, so you have that in front of you, and that's page 576. Under the fiscal year 26 budget column, in the projected net line, revenues are budgeted to be less than expenses by $20,000. In fiscal year 26 estimate column, the projected net revenue is less than expenses of $3,000. This is better than the budget by $17,000. So again, you better performed than budget. This produced an ending working capital of $427,000. In the fiscal year 27 request column, the airport projects that the revenues will be less than expenses by $96,000 and produce an ending working capital of $331,000. And as you make your way across the pro forma columns in the fiscal year, the fund is projected to need general fund transfer starting in fiscal year 2029, so a few years from now. And this is a year later than we projected last year. So as new development occurs, you can continue to push this out. But it looks very, as you know, there's a lot of growth going on at the airport now. So that's what we're looking forward to keep this solid in the future.
Thank you. Questions on the airport? Councilor Brown.
Yes, on page 173, couple of questions. First, I noticed that there's transfer out to general, and I believe that's municipal overhead. How is that determined, municipal overhead?
We take a look at what the expenses are related to the services that we provide, particularly when it comes to general services support.
Follow up?
Follow up?
May I ask what kind of support is the airport receiving from the city?
Snow removal,
Okay. and that
grass
goes-
cutting, just pretty much a lot of things that we don't have the operator do, the fixed base operator. We have a contract with them.
Follow-up?
Yes, my second question is, well, the principal and interest, those are bonds that are airport bonds? Is that correct?
Follow-up?
Are there any bonds, since this became a special revenue fund, that are general obligation bonds for the airport?
It will be.
Welcome, Mr. LeBrun.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Pretty much all the bonds are considered general obligation bonds when it comes to the special revenue funds especially. But in this case, I think your question you're asking is, are there any bonds that are being paid by the general fund for the airport? At this time, I do not believe that that is the case. Like the manager said, at some future point, that may be the case, but at this time, I don't believe so.
Follow-up?
Yes. And lastly, the transfer out general capital project, $67,000. What is that? What is general cap project?
So when you look at the capital budget, there are projects, there are different funding sources in the project. So you could have bonding, you could have transfers, you could have grants, you could have a number of different things. In this case, the airport fund is transferring $67,000 for a project that was funded as a capital transfer. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which project it was, but that's just the funding source in the capital budget. So the airport fund will actually transfer $67,000 to the capital fund in order to support that piece of the project, whether it's the whole thing or just a portion of it.
Follow-up?
So is that, it's money going to a capital project for the airport?
Yes.
It's not, it doesn't
From
go
the
to the general fund, it just
From
goes?
the airport to the airport.
Okay.
From the
okay.
airport fund to the airport.
Thank you, thank you.
I
Councilor
covered all
Secchi.
those capital projects and those transfers when we did the CIP,
CIP.
and in the
Yes,
presentation.
Right.
I
Councilor
have
Secchi.
two part questions. I see professional services, we are budgeting in 2025, the actual was 77,000 and under the expenses, and now I see we have like 71,000 projected. Could you speak on the professional services, what those are?
That would be our fixed-based operator work and other, let me just check.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get.
Come on up, Mr.
I'm
Thompson.
going to turn this over to Tim.
So the primary driver of professional services is our contract with Concord Aviation Services, our fixed-based operator. But in addition to that, we have brush and tree cutting, we have the above-ground storage tank inspection, the quarterly visual monitoring of the runway, and we also have the Wings and Wheels event also included in that line as well.
Follow-up?
Please, you just said tree cutting. What is the general services role and what is the partnership between general services and the airport? Because my understanding is that the park and rec has some contract with them, so it's general services. And Tom just talked about snow removal.
Generally speaking, when we do tree removal, this is for obstructions to runways and the areas outside of the runway protection zones. We do work with general services. We have a general capital project that is every other year that we're funding for the General Services Department to do tree cutting to ensure that we're compliant with FAA requirements.
So that's a follow-up. Thank you. So that's a professional tree cutter that like we did for Memorial Field.
I don't believe so. I believe I'd have to check, but I'm not sure if it's done in-house by General Services. I'm pretty sure most of it is.
We've done both, because when you get to some of the larger trees on the runway approaches and the landing zones, these are very high, so you want to make sure you keep them top off, and so you don't.
Given the activity we've had over the years, it's become easier for General Services to do that because we actually have been keeping up with the tree cutting and the maintenance, so it's not substantial cutting that takes place as part of these projects every year.
Follow-up?
Last but not least, so what Park and Rec team does for contract with the airport? What is their partnership?
That I don't know, to be honest with you. But in any conversation with Parks and Rec and the airport tree cutting, there's no relationship that I'm.
No, I know. The general services handle that.
General services.
But when it comes to the loan or anything else, do Park and Rec has any partnership or contract with airports?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Not that, okay. Thank you.
Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. I was just wondering if the shortages that have been described with respect to fuel, aviation fuel, primarily in other countries, I don't know that it's shown up yet in the U.S. Have we seen any of that in the market? Do we have any concerns about that as far as the performance of the airport over the next 6 to
Nothing
9
that
months?
nothing I've seen in the data that we're getting from the fixed base operator at this stage.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the airport? Mr. City Manager, what's your thumbnail assessment of how the airport is doing as an economic engine?
It's very important to the business community, obviously. And one of the things that, of course, we work very closely with New Hampshire National Guard and the search and rescue. So it provides a statewide service, but also from a development purpose, having United Therapeutics just recently moved in, the new airport hangars that are being built, it's all very positive. And really what's happening is many of the other airports in the area, particularly the general aviation, the smaller ones, are full. So we're starting to see some really good increases in enplanements, which then increases fuel sales, which then we get a markup on. So it's a good something most communities would love to have.
Thank you. Councilor Kretovic.
Thank you. As a follow-up to that, since you are vastly familiar with the Manchester Regional Airport and its design and redevelopment, do you also think that their build-out and the large commercial uses that they have now are part of the reason why a lot of the smaller general aviation are being squeezed out and then coming to Concord because of our proximity?
They've actually focused on the much larger cargo planes and enplanements, which then pushes the general aviation, smaller users towards us. And then you'll continue to see the use of fractionalized jets, where you don't own the plane, you own a share of that plane, and then it's available to you a certain amount of times, and you book it almost like you book anything.
Ride share.
Exactly, ride share, and then it takes you where you need to go, type of thing. So having our airport accessible to that is, I think, very good. And sometimes it's simply a stopping point onto something else. But while people are here, they do a lot of things. They visit a lot of our businesses, and of course there's been previously a lot of tie-in to the Loudon racetrack and whatnot. So it has a lot of advantages.
St. Paul's School is another heavy user. For example, there are at least 6 different jets out there this past weekend that I'm assuming are associated with the commencement facility activities that are going on at St. Paul's. They do bring in a good amount of revenue in terms of fuel and markup from those folks that fly in for the prep school.
Thank you.
Councilor Caleb.
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, you mentioned just now the National Guard is involved in some way using the airport. Could you just briefly tell us if it's a partnership, what that looks like? Thank you.
Sure. We have a long-term agreement with.
The lease agreement with the National Guard is approximately $330,000 a year in lease revenue to the city for the acreage that they are within the airport fence.
Right. So not only that, but then of course the state itself has their own hangar there, which they lease.
We just renewed the state police hangar lease this past January.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'm sorry, Councilor Foote.
Thank you, Your Honor. We've had this discussion privately, but I just think it's time to make it public. As a concern that I have is accessibility to the both the rental area for the bathrooms and also for the I guess we'll call it the lounge and the terminal. We also have a willing partner. The folks that are running the airport are willing to contribute to upgrade those bathrooms. So I just think we need to stay on. I think we need to be mindful.
Agenda item number 6. And you want to start on page 176? 176? This fund is designed to account for revenues from leased properties and the acquisition and management of conservation properties. For fiscal year 27, revenues budget to budget are projected to be flat. Expenses budget to budget are also flat. Wages and benefits are up slightly. There's a slight decrease in the transfer out trust line, and the transfer out general has a slight increase. Each year, a portion of the fund balance from the prior fiscal year is used as a transfer out to the general fund for this purpose. There's never a pro forma associated with this fund, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions? Councilor Brown?
Yes, you just mentioned the transfer out to the general fund. How is that amount determined and where does it go?
It's what the costs are related to the services provided by staff.
Follow up? So is that municipal overhead, essentially?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Follow up?
Yes. Is the Trail Ranger paid for out of this fund?
I think it's out of the community development budget. We'll find out for sure.
Okay.
Okay, out of the community development.
Any other questions? Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Do you have another one?
I did have another one. Oh, the property that we are leasing, like the Sunflower Fields, property out on Hall Street, is that going into the Conservation Property Fund? Or does that go to community development? Do those leased dollars stay with conservation?
The leases for conservation property go with conservation.
Okay.
And they never really go to community development, they would go to the general fund overall.
Okay, for
So
overhead.
for, for any farms that we have, properties that, have cornfields on them or anything like that, that all goes to.
To the conservation, okay, thank you.
And they use that to manage trails, and they use that to manage signage and cleanups.
Any other questions?
Actually, one more thought.
Councilor Brown?
The Trail Ranger, is that part-time or is that full-time?
Part-time.
Part-time, okay.
Fully in the CD budget.
It's in the CD budget. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Community development. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, Mr. City Manager, I believe this brings us to the Golf Fund.
That brings, revolving loan.
Oh, revolving loan, I'm sorry, I skipped over a number, sorry.
Revolving loan fund, that's number 7. So you want to go to page 178. So the fiscal year 27 proposed revenue budget of $666,000 is a portion of the estimated unexpended balance of the fund, plus the scheduled loan repayments and the investment income revenues. The expenses include a $10,000 for any services needed to administer the loans under this fund and an appropriation of $650,000 in revolving loans. To date, there have been no loans issued to this fund for this fiscal year. There's never any pro forma with this fund. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Question?
And you need to appropriate the dollars so we can actually make loans. That's kind of.
Great program. Councilor Schlosser?
Thank you. How do we inform the public about the availability of this service?
We put out requests for proposal and contact anybody who is been interested in the past, who lets us know about anything that they would like to do, and we make sure they get all that information, and then it goes to the Community Development Advisory Committee for review. So anybody who wants to do it gets that full information, and anybody who's got it in the past, we make it available. What we find generally happens is because folks have to get their own financing in place because the loan won't cover everything as a cost. We find a lot of nonprofits are having more and more difficulty over time coming up with their share of financing a project. So we can always be there to do our piece, but they have difficulty doing their piece with whatever their project cost may be.
Thank you very much for that information. But we don't put out information to the general populace that there is a revolving loan fund, that there's certain criteria, there's either income or other criteria that you have to comply with in order to be eligible. There's no sort of communication to the citizens in general about this. If they know about it, they can ask. If they go to the website, they can ask. So they have to go look for it. Am I saying that right, or how does that work?
Councilor Kretovic?
Thank you. Mr. Schlosser, that is a great question. Sorry, Councilor Schlosser. Previously, and I haven't been on the committee in some time, we have a great partnership with all of our local banks. So when somebody that is in need, that can't get funding through their regular bank, or there is a gap, it's the bank that sends them to the city, because we have a partnership with those banks for low interest loans to begin with. But then also there are other areas through the Capital Regional Development Council, as well as just our own city councilors. When people ask, one scenario in particular, I apologize, it's your ward. Everybody in Island Shores needed to get new roofs. And we had a fair number of senior citizens that were not able to take out a loan, and we worked with them in order to put a small lien on the property, and we covered the cost of the roofing for their condominiums. It's probably one of the best projects I think that I saw come out of the community development and the revolving loan fund. And it worked out so fantastic for the families, because these people really needed a roof over their heads, and we supported that, and supported 100%.
A lot of it has also to do with the manufactured housing parks, so we have good relationships with all those. If there's sewer issues or water lines need to be replaced, or we've replaced furnaces in many homes. We've got grants years ago, and now still have trouble doing stuff. So the general public, I mean, I'm not sure how many people are really going to apply individually for things like that, but.
Follow-up?
But if a homeowner, their furnace goes bad and they have trouble paying for a furnace, they might qualify for this kind of revolving loan.
I've done furnaces and
Right.
floors and roofs and all kinds of things.
So, but my understanding is that it's sort of through the grapevine. The banks, somebody something like that is how citizens learn about this. And I'm concerned that we didn't have any takers last year. And I bet dollars to donuts that some citizens could have used this kind of revolving loan to help them through some sort of expenditure that a roof, a furnace, or something like that. So I guess, anyway, and I'm just noting that we might do a better job of communicating this. It's really a wonderful resource for citizens, for the right person in the right situation, and yet I think it's sort of a secret. Not that many people know about it, and so
It's a balance that, it's a balance that the council has always worked, because you're trying not to be a bank, and you're trying not to compete with the private sector for this. So, you don't do, you're not doing, this house and that house and that house. You're usually doing projects with organizations and whatnot. But if you want to change. I mean, there's plenty of people here on CDAC that can tell you what they do, but change course, you could change course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kurtz.
Yeah, thank you. To piggyback on what Councilor Krudak and Mr. City Manager were saying, my understanding is that in order for it, as a member of CDAC, that in order for it to be sustainable, because very often the lien is attached only when the property is sold, and so we may not receive any funds back for a very long time into the fund, that it really does need to operate sort of as a last resort funding, and that if people do have other pathways, that allows us to preserve our funds for folks who truly can't get funds elsewhere, and that's why we predominantly rely on a funder who might have denied them to then refer them to us. And so my understanding of it has always been that it's a question of sustainability to keep it available, rather than making it more broadly accessible and then potentially depleting it to a point where we can't sustain it.
But
Follow-up.
But we replete it every year. Every year we appropriate the funds, right? Is that right? Am I understanding?
If you get paid back.
Mr. Thompson, would you like to come forward?
Yeah.
So.
There is no general fund appropriation to this program whatsoever.
Oh.
The fund balance, this program started back when there was a surplus of CDBG funds available to the city. They were
To define CBD.
Community Development Block Grant,
Thank
federal
you.
funding through the United States Housing and Urban Development. When the city does a CDBG project, there's a lien placed on the property for repayment of the terms. Occasionally, projects go out of compliance with CDBG requirements, and they have to repay those liens. And those are funds that have basically sourced this fund for the city. So we do not appropriate any city dollars to this. It is purely from monies that were left over or appropriated or payments through the program that were established through CDBG funds.
Really over the last
20 plus years.
Yeah.
So,
even longer.
so thank you. I think some of my, the confusion is we do appropriate every year, but not out.
Correct.
But.
We're
but not-
appropriating from the fund balance of the program.
I see.
So we have an X fund balance. So for example, I think we've got 650,000 for the special programs. The actual fund balance is about $670,000.
Thank you.
So I budget X amount of that fund balance as the expenditure so that when loans do come in front of the committee in the city, we can consider them without having to go back to the council.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that.
Could I just add, I've also been on the Community Development Advisory Committee for probably 13 years, at least a decade, and the vast majority of the people who take out these loans judiciously pay back their loans.
Yes.
You know, there are liens that are applied as surety, but the vast majority of these people work hard to pay off the loans. It's very gratifying to see.
And there are income requirements because it's based off of CDBG funds.
Right, Councilor Kurtz? Schultz, sorry, I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna wait till she talked. I suspect the answer is no, but hey, I'm not ever afraid of a dumb question. Could this fund ever be used to help apartment complexes not raise their rent as much? So that
That would not
offset so
currently
much.
be consistent with the program income reuse guidelines the fund uses. We've used it for financing for affordable projects. The Caleb Pentecost project, for example, the revolving loan fund was a small part of the overall funding stack for that project to make it pencil. But in terms of doing it for rent reduction or anything of that nature, that would not be consistent with the purposes of the fund as it sits today.
never hurts to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Schultz. All right, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, I believe that brings us to the golf
Number
fund.
8, okay, so you want to go to number 8, that's the golf fund. And on the golf fund, you want to turn to page 182. We start on 182. That's the revenues. So for fiscal year '26, total revenues are projected to be $2.1 million, or 3% ahead of budget. Seasonal passes are projected to be slightly ahead of budget by $17,000. The daily fees are projected to be up $17,000. So far the weather's been cold, and hopefully it'll improve as spring progresses. So it's a good number. You know, it'd be nice for it to be a little bit bigger. Cart rentals are projected to be up slightly, $3,900. Most people that pay greens fees also rent carts. So this is a stronger revenue stream with additional green fee play. Pro shop sales are projected to be $71,000. So those are very good sales numbers for us. Simulator revenues are down by $22,000. Driving range revenue is on target with budget, and league and tournament fees are on target with budget. For fiscal year '27, revenues budget to budget are up $135,000. Season passes are down $32,000, but daily fees are up $68,000. And again, cart rentals tied to that are up $74,000. The driving range is up $11,000. League and tournament fees are down $4,000. Simulator revenues are flat. Budgeted is flat. Concession revenues budget is flat. And next on page 183, expenses for fiscal year '26 projected to budget are down by $68,000. So wages and benefits are projected to be down by $110,000. Rent is up $7,000. Cost of goods sold higher than budget by $42,000 as a function of increased sales. So obviously, if you want to sell more, you got to have more inventory to sell. League and tournament expenses are slightly higher than budget. Expenses budgeted for fiscal year '27 are up $457,000 due to increases in wages and benefits. That's $8,700. Rent is up $45,000 due to increase in the golf cart leases. Communications is down $4,600 due to change in the new phone system. You've seen that across all the budgets. Cost of goods sold is up $28,000 due to budget increase in pro sale. So if we sell more materials, we have to buy more materials. Vehicle fuel is down $8,200. Debt service is up $96,000. That's due to increased bond payments, mainly for the parking lot. And the transfer out to the general fund is up $250,000. So of the $457,000, $250,000 is for the transfer to the general fund for the clubhouse debt service and an increased general overhead allocation. And if you go to the pro forma, the revised pro forma, that's page 577. And if you look at the projected net line at the bottom of the page, under the fiscal year 26 budget column, the projected net is a gain of $200,000. The FY 26 estimate column is a gain of $344,000. So it's $134,000 better than budget, and produces an ending working capital of $1.35 million. For fiscal year 27 budget, the projected net is a loss of $122,000, and ending working capital of $1.23 million, which you can see is very healthy compared to the target. And the pro forma includes a $250,000 contribution to the general fund for the clubhouse debt service through 2032, and provides for a positive working capital through 2032, as we discussed last year. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for the city manager? Councilor Schultz.
Just a quick question. Are our golf carts electric charged? Thank you. Yeah.
Councilor Brown.
Yes, just looking at page 181, and I know special revenue funds, we are appropriating, it shows the revenue is 2.1, but the expense is 2.2. How does that work? I mean, where does that extra come from? If it's drawing a deficit, are they using?
From the working capital.
So, but if the ending working capital is 1.3 million, so they start with that, and then if they're they're going to be spending
More than revenue,
Right.
then you have a less of a working capital.
Okay, so they'll just have, okay. All right, I think I get that. Follow up?
Follow up?
Yes, so the debt service, you talked about the funds coming in, $250,000 for the clubhouse. Are there, how much debt service is there for golf projects that taxpayers are paying for? How many general obligation bonds for golf projects?
Maybe let Brian come up. The number of projects, it'll be the clubhouse, it'll
Design.
be an irrigation system.
Welcome, Mr.
Is there
LeBron.
anything else besides that?
Good evening again. I think the manager just answered the question. I mean, we have pretty much just the irrigation projects, which this is the last year, should be starting up hopefully in the next few weeks, and then the clubhouse project. And then, as you mentioned, that the golf fund was transferring $250,000 this year to help support that debt service.
Follow up?
How, so just since this became a special revenue fund, how many CIP projects were paid for general obligation bonds for taxpayers? Do we have a total amount, principal and interest, since 2018?
You want to know the dollar amount?
For that's on taxpayers.
It's on taxpayers, the total amount of the project or the total amount of this year's debt service?
The principal and interest in total on taxpayer, that is levied on taxpayers for the general fund from 2018.
You'll have to forgive me, Council. Is probably 7 bonds at different portions of repayment at this point, plus the golf course clubhouse project. And I didn't prepare that number for the total debt service in total of all those payments to have ready for you, but I could get that for you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Credevec?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. LeBrun, I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but isn't it more accurate and transparent to say that taxpayers are guaranteeing the debt through the general obligation bond, But in this case, the golf course revenues are projected to pay for that debt. So there is zero cost to the taxpayers this year. There was zero cost to the taxpayers last year. In your pro forma, what you're saying is that next year, the golf course would need to raise an additional $22,167 so that, again, there would be a zero cost for the debt service at the golf course. Am I saying that correctly? Is that how it works?
You are not.
Okay.
So basically, when the projects were approved, starting, I think it was about 8 years ago for the irrigation system, at the time, the golf course was not able to support financially those debt service payments. So the general fund, the city council at the time decided that the general fund would pay those because it was a much-needed project in order to keep the golf course, functioning operationally. The irrigation system at the time was approximately 40 to 45 years old. So the general fund has been picking that up, so that is a taxpayer-funded portion for that fund. And that's paid for out of the general fund. When you get to the clubhouse project, the parking lot portion of that project is being paid from the golf fund, so that was the increase in $91,000 in debt service that the manager just discussed. For the clubhouse itself, it was a $5.6 million bond, plus the design, things like that. And that comes out to the first year payment is $494,000 this year in fiscal year 2027. And $250 of that is being transferred from the golf fund to help offset that cost. And then the other portion is being transferred in from the Recreation Reserve Fund, so that basically the taxpayer does not have to pick up any portion of that this year. And that's the same plan for the next few years as the manager described when the project was approved last year at the budget deliberations. So the portion of the irrigation system is being paid through by the taxpayers. The portion of the clubhouse, at least for the next several years as projected, would not be paid out of the taxpayers. And then in the future, you have to decide how you want to handle it.
Thank you.
Mr. LeBrun, is it fair to say that the early years of the debt service on the project like the clubhouse are where the highest expense is?
That's a fair statement. In the way that the bonds work are that the principal is distributed evenly among the 20 years, and then the interest actually decreases each one of those years.
So it's not like the loan I take out to buy a car or a mortgage, right?
No, your $1,200 car payment stays the same for the next 5 years. That's not the same. This would be, $494,000 this year. Next year will be $472,000. The following year will be $438,000, whatever the numbers are.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Councilor Todd.
Thank you, Your Honor. While we have you here, Mr. LeBrun, we received testimony tonight, actually, for tonight's meeting, from someone who said, in my opinion, the city should sell the golf course. The city would make money from the sale, and the property would return to a taxable property. So I think that folks aren't really, for whatever reasons, getting all of the information that they need to come to a conclusion or opinion about this. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind, although I know we've discussed this on several occasions, explain to us briefly the challenges associated if the city were to decide to sell the golf course and try to turn it into a taxable property.
So I think the single, aside from building the clubhouse and having that investment that is kind of set in stone at this point with where it is. But aside from that, let's look at the project as being encumbered by the Land Water Conservation Fund. And so right now, the only thing that facility, that property can be used for is for recreational purposes, which golf is a recreational purpose. And the clubhouse is a facility that supports that recreational endeavor. And that's both for the summer golf season and for the winter skiing season and cross countries and anything else that goes on there related to that. If the city said, you know what, we want to be out of this golf business, we want to sell that property, we want to do whatever we want to do, then we would have to go through the process, or the city council would have to go through the process with the Land Water Conservation Fund, which includes the federal government, that you would have to actually do a transfer of land. So you'd have to do like-kind land that is not currently under recreational purposes. So someplace else in the city would have to make a purchase of that land in order to, based on the requirements of the Land Water Conservation Fund. Now, I don't have all the exact details, but this is the general idea of what would have to happen. And then, once that would all be approved, then the city could potentially sell all of that property and turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. But there is definitely it's a in perpetuity easement on that property by Land Water Conservation Fund that it has to stay for recreational purposes.
Follow up?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate that. So basically, in other words, this is not a situation where we have the free ability to simply sell to a private entity because we have the obligations that come with the restrictions that come with the Land and Water Conservation Fund grants that we've received over the years to do projects on that property, and the purpose of those, I guess, would be to reduce the amount that taxpayers would have to pay for those projects.
And yes, so you would have the investment of purchasing other property to do that.
Follow up?
Yes, thank you. So let's just say then, for example, we've now outlined that it is not directly possible for us to simply have the city sell the golf course land and convert that into another private use and put it on the tax rolls. Let's say, what would happen if we wanted to say, all right, we want to get out of the golf business. We don't want to do golf anymore. Let's take this property and turn it into some kind of a park. We're building a building. That's fine. That could be utilized as just non-golf. It would be utilized as like we do the citywide community center or any of the other buildings that we have in the city. We could run programs out of there and so forth. If we were to do something like that, what would you estimate that there would be some financial uncertainties associated with doing something like that? And also, as a follow-up to that, I assume then that would mean that we would no longer be receiving the $2 million in revenue that the golf course currently has to help offset some of the projects and costs associated with golf.
So I would agree with you on the golf revenue would go away. I do think that there is a complication of trying to turn that building into an actual community center because it has to be a building that supports, I believe, outdoor recreational activities. So I think that there is a complication there. However, let's say that we were able to do that and the city council decided to do that. Then you would have whatever the expenses would be for running the facility, running programs, and then maintaining the property, which, and there potentially could be some revenue coming in. I don't know if there would be enough revenue to support, that endeavor, to the extent that you would meet the obligation of the expenses or not. But.
Follow up?
Thank you. So then would it be fair to say that we could certainly try to pivot? There are a lot of unknowns. We could try to pivot away from golf. But if we were to do that, the risk would be that actually taxpayers would end up paying more to maintain that property than they are now under the golf scenario.
That's certainly a possibility. Certainly when you look at the dollars or the revenue that the golf course is bringing in on an annual basis, it certainly supports the current operating expenses, and over the past few years, aside from the capital that is being picked up by the general fund, has provided for some balance in order to help offset the cost of the new community center. But when you look at doing something different, there's always that uncertainty of where you're going to actually end up.
Thank you. Just one final comment, which is thank you for your answers. And I think that was part of the reasoning that last year convinced me to move forward with funding the golf changes, because we could certainly go down a different path, but there's a lot of uncertainty, and including financial uncertainty associated with doing something different. So to me, it seemed like the more reasonable financial approach was also to continue to try to promote the golf operations that were doing very successfully well with over $2 million in revenue. I find it hard to imagine that, and I'm assuming that you would also, Mr. LeBrun, that we could find any other entity or use for that land where you could generate $2 million in revenue.
Off the top of my mind, I couldn't under the current situation with land water conservation.
Thank you.
Council Kritovic.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just had two quick follow-ups
Certainly.
to that. Is there another park in the city that is generating $2.1 million?
Not that I know of. The manager might know of one.
And the second follow-up,
Follow-up?
with regards to the clubhouse, the Land and Water Conservation Commission, at one time, the building committee had wanted to explore changing the name of the clubhouse from the Beaver Meadow Golf Clubhouse to the Beaver Meadow Golf Clubhouse and cross-country skiing. And Land and Water Conservation said, nope, needs to be golf. Is that correct?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know about that. But
Thanks.
I think cross-country skiing is an outdoor activity. They probably wouldn't have a problem with that.
Council Brown.
Yes, you had mentioned the recreation reserve, but earlier in our finance hearings, we talked about the special revenue funds do not contribute to the unassigned fund balance. Does the golf fund contribute any money to the recreation reserve?
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Follow-up?
Yes. Regarding the concessionaire, so the concessionaire, I think according to their contract, they are responsible for the kitchen, the bathrooms, the patio, the dining areas, the tent, and they're responsible for all the cleaning and the maintenance of those areas. And that's, they have a contract, $38,000. That's something that's acceptable even under Land Water Conservation Fund?
It's acceptable under Land Water Conservation Fund. We provided the copies of the lease agreements that we have, and the restaurant is providing a service to the outdoor activities. That's one of the same thing with the pro shop. And we had the conversation about simulators as well, and that's providing support for outdoor activities because people can play golf inside during the winter to support their outside golf during the summertime. So we've had all those discussions with the Land Water Conservation Fund, and they've approved all of those things.
Thank you.
Council Caleb.
Yes, thank you. Just to be clear, though, so Councilor Todd, Councilor Kretovic mentioned the golf course is bringing in $2.1 million. I mean, but factoring in expenses, 2026 projected $333,000, and then in 2027 it looks like we're projecting for a loss of $121,000.
That's right, and if you think about where that loss is really coming from, the biggest piece of that is the $250,000 that's being transferred to the general fund for support of the debt service costs. So if that wasn't being transferred over, then there would be a gain in the fund of $125,000. But we had projected this all along, and when the project was brought forward over the past couple of years and then ultimately approved by the City Council, excuse me, last year, that projection was brought forward by the city manager to show that the fund could absorb a $250,000 transfer at least for the next 5 years. And depending on how it goes, we're hoping that it will be able to continue on beyond that, and along with some transfers in from the recreation reserve so that there wouldn't be a tax rate impact on the debt service.
Follow-up?
Follow-up, yeah. Yeah, no, I suppose I just brought that up because, I mean, there are significant expenses associated with running a golf course. And I have a couple small questions about some of these expenses.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my first one, so I see there is expense for rent. It looks like $94,000 projected for 2027. Can you tell me what that is?
I can,
Rent?
but I'm going to also ask Pat Lehman to come up with it, because I know that when you start getting into some of these details, he's much more eloquent than I am. But the $94,000, I'll let Pat talk about that one.
Good evening, everyone. On the rent expense, the largest portion of $94,000 is the golf cart lease contract. It went up extensively. We went into a new contract starting this season. That contract went from $43,000 a year to $89,000 a year for our payment for the lease of the golf carts. Our golf carts are leased. We do not own them. We lease them from a company, and the lease contract's a 5-year contract, and it went up a great amount.
Follow-up, Counselor?
Yes, thank you. So, sorry, during the period of a current lease, the cost of the leasing these carts increased during not a new contract? Or did you enter into a new contract for these golf carts?
We entered into a new contract for these golf courses. It went out to bid, went out to RFP. Golf carts in general went through the roof. The expense of buying new golf carts, we explored buying the golf carts. We got 3 bids on them, and every one of them was double, even close to triple in one case, what we were currently paying.
And we would have had to bring on additional staff in order to maintain them because the lease includes maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Follow up? Yes, and then, so I see under, obviously, revenue, we have league and tournament fees, revenue there, and then expenses for, $25,000 budgeted for expenses for leagues and tournaments. Could you give me a sense of what the expenses are for running a league and tournament? Because it looks like we're making a net of like $10,000 off of leagues and tournaments.
The expenses involved in league and tournament are things that we, prizes, inventory, we take out of inventory to give out for prizes. A couple of the tournaments are associated, there's food costs associated where we offer a meal with the tournament. So those are the expense side of league and tournament. The revenue side is the money coming in and club credits that get given out as prizes that are recognized as revenue because it's club credits only able to be spent in the clubhouse or in the pro shop to buy pro shop products.
Okay. All right. One more follow-up. Yes. So, and then, I suppose there's revenue for concession sales. I don't golf, so I'm just picturing, so there's concessions sold by the golf course or by the city, and then there's the separate like restaurant on site, and that's not owned by us. That's a private company.
The concession revenue is the contract with the restaurant vendor, and that's the price they pay to operate concessions at the golf course. We don't take any money in off of concession sales. That's the price of the contract with the vendor.
Okay, thank you very much.
The questions, Councilor Brown?
Yes, just looking at page 183, professional development. I noticed that it went, it's 8,630, and 3,000 of that is continuing education, and 3,200 is pro-am tournaments. What's the continuing education, and who is playing in these pro-am tournaments?
Continuing education are basically professional development seminars, recertification credits. Myself, the building and ground supervisor hold pesticide licenses in the state of New Hampshire. We have to go to continuing education seminars to receive a certain amount of credits every year to keep our license valid. There's PGA seminars for the PGA pros that they have to go to maintain their certifications. The Pro-Am is for the head golf pro only to enter into the Pro-Ams. It's a networking service. It's all the pros are together. It's a opportunity to do some networking and some professional development for the pros.
Follow-up?
I understand that, so I saw that the tournaments include different tournaments and there's different costs, different rates, but I did not see the New Hampshire Golf Association tournaments, and I know they have a number of them, at least one or two or more each month. How much is the New Hampshire Golf Association paying to use Beaver Meadow?
Each tournament's different, as we discussed at the rate discussion last year. They negotiate, they come with a proposal. If we accept it, we take the tournament. If we don't feel we want to accept it, we don't take the tournament, and they move on and go to a different golf course and with the same proposal.
Follow-up?
How much, well, I know that they are listed on the calendar as having a number of tournaments, that they are receiving money, hundreds of dollars per entry. How much are we receiving from them? Because I did not see that listed in the budget detail that we're receiving any money from them.
Each tournament's different, so I don't know exactly. I can't quote exactly which tournament has raised what. Right now, I don't have that information in front of me, but.
Follow up?
Could you provide the list of how much New Hampshire Golf Association is paying for each of their tournaments this?
So far this year, I can get that information.
Councilor Seku.
I just have a few questions because you asked one of my questions, but how many golf carts are we renting or are we buying with the 94,000 that she just asked about?
In the contract, how many are leased in the contract?
Yes.
We have 60 golf carts as part of the golf cart lease contract. That number also includes ones that we have to bring in extras for certain tournaments. If we exceed the 60 golf carts we have for outings and events, the number may be higher. We maybe need 70. Sometimes we need 80, so we have to bring in 20 extra. In the contract, there's an extra rental fee for tournament cart leases as well.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, we also
Yes.
have 10 carts that we own ourselves that we had purchased back a couple of years ago. And those 10 carts help to offset some of those increases. But there are times where the tournaments are so big, the needs are so big, that they exceeds even that additional 10 carts that we have. So those are 10 carts we keep as, we'll call them spares. And if we need to, we'll bring those into the service and we keep them in service for when we have additional outings that need additional carts. But there are times where we need even more carts than that.
Thank you, Mr. LeBrun. Follow up?
Just a follow-up to make it clear. So the 16 card plus the 10 card, that's 26 card. And then you said sometimes we need even to run more on top of the 26.
60. It's 60 is the fleet. The rental fleet is 60 golf carts that we operate every day.
Every day, okay.
That takes care of daily use. There's 5 or 6. I don't know the exact number, but there's a couple of outings that exceed the carts we've purchased plus the carts that we have in the rental fleet that we need an extra 10, sometimes 12, and to make do with what we need for that outing event.
Follow up?
Yes, not on the golf carts now. We move on that one. CD manager, when you were talking about the expenses, you said that the wages were down by a little more than 100,000. Could you please speak to that? What is the
Changes in staff. We had some, as you know, we had some staff leave for various reasons, which I can get into in a different session.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Kurtz.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. As a non-golfer and not particularly familiar with the operations of a golf course, I have some curiosity about the benefit of running leagues and tournaments. I share
That where, the revenues are a little bit higher than the expenses. So that's kind of where that additional dollars comes in. But what we're showing here is, we're trying to show the gross revenue, the gross expense, so that you have a full picture of what we're trying to do. It's taken us a little while to get the clean picture here, but I think if you look at the details of the budget, you have as clean a picture as, we can pretty much provide for that. But it's really the green fees and the cart rentals. That's what we're really looking for.
Thank you.
Mr. LeBrun, is it fair to say that when Pro Shop credits are given out as prizes, that people probably spend more than the credit in order to purchase good?
That's the hope. If you get a $25, Pro Shop credit, hopefully you'll spend 50, right? I tried to do that with Tom. He wanted to spend 19.
I've never received a gift certificate that basically was all I wanted to spend. Right?
So I want to make clear too, this is not a gift certificate. This is a Pro Shop credit.
I understand. No. I was just using that as an example.
That's okay.
All right.
Just want to make sure.
All right, thank you. Councilor Brown.
Yes. How involved is Beaver Meadow with Parks and Rec? I noticed that Bow Athletic Club has 5 years running. They've had a kids program. They had like 50 kids. I think it was last year, and I know they're doing it. They're out there twice a week. So what programs are there for our Concord kids that, is coordinated with Parks and Rec?
This year, our junior camps were listed in the Parks and Rec spring brochure. All the winter activities, the skiing is all done through Parks and Rec as well on the property. So,
Follow up.
But you're saying it's just the junior camps?
Correct.
Okay, just junior camps.
Follow up?
Yes. I noticed that there was there was a coupon for Beaver Meadow through New Hampshire Dollar Saver for 30% off. How often has that been done?
I don't know how long it's been going, but we get them occasionally. People come through and use the Dollar Saver. I don't know when that program was started, but we've been involved in that for some time, I believe.
Follow up?
So that's 30% off of the greens fees. So we don't know who is coordinating that?
I don't know specifically.
Maybe we can find out.
I can find out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Caleb?
Oh, Counselor Foote can go first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see Councilor Foot's hand. Councilor Foot?
Building off of what Councilor Kurtz said, I think there's a lot of benefits that we're not really expunging on these tournaments and what they do for the community as a large. So I know that I've been to Beaver Meadow at a golf tournament in years past, and they raise, I don't know how many scholarships for aspiring engineers. So I'm going to guess there's numerous other organizations that raise significant funds for the community as part of the operations at the golf course. Do we have any idea what those indirect benefits financially are a year? Any guesses? What you mean to the
public.
organizations or to the public? It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they raise in their organizations. And just to, as we talk about those, I mean, the city partners with like the Boys and Girls Clubs and Crime Line and many other organizations that raise funds for worthy causes. So they make their money on selling the tournament, selling the fee. The city gets its money from the fee price that we have for the tournament for each player. So there's definitely a mutual benefit to all of that, but the community does receive a lot of benefit from many of these organizations as donations. And I would like to just point out too that we have, and it gets confusing for people, right? So we have outings, which is kind of what we're talking about here, Boys and Girls Club, the Crime Line, and then we have leagues and tournaments. And leagues tend to be those leagues that play like tonight and tomorrow night and Wednesday night, and then we have tournaments that might be kind of things you might have a member and guest, and you might have other different types of tournaments like that. So we have 3 different things, and those names all get used interchangeably, so it gets confusing by people, but it's one of those things where you try to kind of separate those out a little bit, and those outings are critically important to the community, that they really bring in a lot of dollars as donations and for good and worthy causes throughout the community in the area.
Thank you, Mr. LeBrun. Councilor Brown?
Yes, I noticed there's a lot of trash cans at Beaver Meadow. I don't know the exact count, but who empties them? Who takes care of that?
Maintenance staff.
Maintenance staff does. Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Councilor Caleb?
Yeah, thank you. Just quick question about the restaurant. Back to the restaurant. So it's what's it called? The Broken Tea? Is that the name of the
Correct.
restaurant? Yes. Is there like a lease or a contract or a determined amount of time in which they stay operating out of the clubhouse?
As far as hours or length of the contract?
Oh, I mean, yeah, length of the contract. So yeah.
I believe it's a 3-year contract, and we're in year 2 with the current vendor.
Okay. Thank you. Follow up.
Follow up.
No, I mean, in the golf business, I guess there's a lot of money to be made in the alcohol and also food sales. Has the city ever considered running that restaurant as its own rather than having a private business operate out of there?
If the city council would like to take the responsibility of selling alcohol to the people playing golf, I mean, we could certainly take a look at it, but in the past,
Yes,
the council
the answer's yes.
has not wanted to do that. So.
If the city council wants them to make money, then maybe we could think about it.
Councilor Davey?
I also asked this as a non-golfer. Is there a preferred ratio of seasonal passes to daily fees that you would prefer? I said prefer twice in the same sentence.
You know, that's a balance that we talk about with the Golf Advisory Committee on an ongoing basis. You know, we had a couple of years ago, the pass holder number was getting relatively high, so we looked at that and said, hey, you know, how should we do this? Because the green fee revenue is critically important, and from a profit-wise, the green fee revenue is much more important. As the membership fees have gone up, though, as the pass holder fees have gone up, they've dropped down a little bit because the people that buy the pass holders at Beaver Meadow, I believe a lot of them look at it. Some look at it as it's a good convenience to not have to pay every time you win. But a lot of them look at it as a financial, you know, it's a financial equation. It's like, am I going to pay enough times at the, you know, prevailing green fee rate to make up my pass holder fee, right? So if it's, you know, $1,400, am I going to pay enough, you know, to do that? If I'm not, then I'm going to pay greens fees. If I am, then I'll probably get a pass holder. You know, some folks, you know, certainly want to have the pass, you know, and it's very much a convenience for them. But definitely there's a lot of folks that do it and we saw that this past year where, you know, as the fees went up for the pass holders, you know, a number of folks came and said, we're still playing here, but, you know, it's not worth it for us to have the pass because we don't play enough.
Thank you. Councilor Kretovic.
Thank you. And follow up to the question about garbage pickup. Don't we have a transfer out to the solid waste fund also that is for the dumpster pickup?
We do, but it'd be nice if we could get them to go out on the course and empty the trash cans for us too, but they said no.
Use our,
Okay.
excuse me.
Councilor Brown.
Yes, can we get the member list? I know that members who buy their membership in September, no, I think it goes on sale in September, and they get the 2025 rate versus after December, they have to pay the 2026 rate. Can you please provide to the council the list of, or how many memberships at each rate, and each, I know like a family rate is different from a senior rate, is different from a young adult. So it would be nice to see how that compares to last year and what was paid for each of those. Are more people buying their memberships in September, or are they waiting until April to buy them?
It varies from year to year. This was kind of a question that you asked as a 91A request. We'll provide a list to you, you know, by the end of the month. I think that was the time frame we had, so we'll get that information to you by that time.
Follow up.
It would be really helpful to have that information for budget.
You asked for it in a 91A request, though, and we gave you the time frame we would get it to you for, so that's when we'll get it to you.
Okay. Any other? Councilor Kretovic?
Can we also, as done previously through the city solicitor's office, we maintain that the juniors will be kept private?
We are not going to provide any names of anybody. No names, no
We're gonna
emails,
ask
no anything.
People looking for children, we're not going to be doing that. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Councilor Fennessy.
Thank you. Am I correct that every year the Golf Advisory Committee gets a report as to the different categories of membership and how many people are in each of those membership categories?
We do that when we take a look at the rates, which will be coming up again in July for the Golf Advisory Committee to make a proposal to the City Council for their August meeting. So we will have information at that time to bring forward to the Golf Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Councilor Brown.
I just want to clarify, so you're saying that you are not going to provide to the council the number of members and the amount that was paid for those memberships? Is that?
I think that what Mr.
I
LeBrun
answered
just
the
said is
question.
that it's part of a regular
Okay,
report, is it not,
that
Mr. LeBrun?
was just very surprising.
So,
Yeah, I asked for the numbers.
so before we
Mr.
move
City
on,
Manager.
maybe Councilman Alexander.
Can I make one more
Sure.
question? So if a counselor wanted to look for the information for 2024, 2023, 2022, that information's already been provided to the council, hasn't it?
It has, when you did the rate discussion last year, we provided that information.
I remember it. Thank you. Councilor Foote, did you have a question?
I didn't, but may I?
You may. I've missed you a couple times, so you have a bye.
So, thank you, Your Honor. So I'm looking at the email that was sent by Ms. Stevens today as, I'm gonna guess as a result of my past year's inquiry on city amenities in the different recreation opportunities. Am I looking at this correctly, that even in 2027, with the 2027 budget, the total cost for the golf course and the debt service on a $400,000 house is $25.39 in total?
That would be the general fund portion of the debt service for the debt that is being paid by the general fund, subtracting out the 250,000 transfer in and subtracting out the 245 that's brought in from the recreation reserve.
So the net is, what you're telling me, that is the net on a $400,000 house, the totality on a $400,000 house for the golf course in 2027 will be $25.39.
Based on the projected tax rate that's been presented to the City Council, yes, that's what we're
Great.
doing.
Good discussion. I'm glad we're drilling down.
Follow-up?
Thank you. More of a comment. Thank you. I'm glad we're having this good discussion. It's very robust on the golf course. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Caleb?
Yeah. Is the intent here with this golf fund and with generally special revenue funds for them to be self-sustaining or to make the money that they need to pay the debt service in future years?
I think when you look at whether it's an enterprise or special revenue fund, certainly the enterprise funds are established to be self-sustaining based on their rate structures. Years ago, we had a number of other enterprise funds that were requiring some sort of general fund assistance from time to time, and in our consultation with our auditors, they said these are really special revenue funds, and special revenue funds, by definition, really are an extension of the general fund, and from time to time may require some sort of support from the general fund operations, so they operate somewhat differently. Now, we operate them as, business entities, and you can see it, in the parking fund, the airport fund, the golf fund, these different, the solid waste fund. But each one of those separate special revenue funds, and we'll use the solid waste fund, there's over $1 million a year going into that fund from general operations, because it needs the support from the general fund for particular reasons. In this case, the golf fund has been getting support for some debt service. There were a few years past where the golf fund did get support for operations because business was pretty tough back 7, 8, 9 years ago. You look at the arena fund coming up this year, there's $170,000, that's projected for support this year and more in future years. You look at the airport fund, and there's a potential for that support in future years as well too. So the difference between the special revenue and the enterprise funds, they look similar, but they operate slightly different.
If you go back about 25 years ago, the airport fund annually had about $125,000 to $150,000 transfer from general fund to support the airport, and that had gone on for decades, and that was just city council decided it wanted to continue to have an airport. City council decided it wanted to continue having an arena, so they did the same thing with the arena. So it's not unusual to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
City Manager, I believe that's arena.
Okay, so we'll move on to number 9, the arena. But before we do, I just wanted to mention that congratulations on the golf course, $134,000 ahead of budget. So that's what you did in performance this year. So you made a lot of great decisions. Your investments are paying off, and that's in before the parking lot and the clubhouse are done. So great job.
Thank you.
Yep. So you want to be on item number 9. And that's the arena fund, and you want to go to page 187. For fiscal year 26, revenues under the projected column are down $16,000 compared to budget, and this is due to pro shop sales, $5,000, and rental income, $14,000. We've talked about this with the arena in the past. Fiscal year 27 revenues budget to budget are up $183,000 or 24%. That's concession sales of $5,500, rental income $10,900, and a transfer in from the general fund of $170,000. And as you know, this will be the first year for the general fund to provide support to the arena fund for the operating budget. You've done it in the past for the capital budget. Next, our expenses on page 188. Expenses for fiscal year 26 projected to budget are up $12,000, and that's due to wages and benefits at $7,700, electricity $3,000, natural gas $4,300. And for fiscal year 27, budget to budget expenses are up $56,000 or 6%. Wages and benefits are up $38,000, electricity $10,000, and the transfer out to the general fund is $7,800. And if you go to the revised pro forma, next attachment, page 578, the projected net for fiscal year 26 budget column is a loss of $115,000. And the next column for under fiscal year, so that was the projected net. Under fiscal year 26 estimate, the projected net loss is $143,000 or $28,000 worse than what we had budgeted for, and this results in ending working capital of a negative $7,000. As the fiscal year closes, we monitor the actual expenditures and may return to City Council for budgetary supplemental appropriation for this fund, but only if necessary. For fiscal year 27 budget, the projected net is a gain of $12,000, and this includes a proposed transfer in of $170,000 from the general fund. Unless there are additional revenue streams developed for the arena, this fund will need general fund support in the future for both operations and capital expenditures. And while I believe the arena is an integral part of the city, it is really up to the City Council to determine if you want to continue with the arena operations with general fund support or not. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for the city manager. Councilor Brown.
Yes, so in 2018, this became a special revenue fund, and at that time, I know the golf course was not able to do operations, so the general fund picked up irrigation, and now it looks like
The arena?
well, at the golf course, and now this is another special revenue fund that we're going to have to consider. How did you make that decision back then that we would fund 8 years of irrigation? How did you make that decision? Like, we're looking at, okay, do we need to do that? What did you consider at that time?
That was the City Council's
That was a
decision.
city council decision.
I don't get to vote on the budget as much as I would love to. I've never got
I'm not going to give you one now.
Thank
Councilor
you.
Brown.
Don't give me one now.
Follow up,
Yes,
Councilor Brown.
so the transfer in from general is 170, but the transfer out is 96,000. That transfer out, that's overhead, is that staff positions, what does that entail?
It's just the overall expenses for all the funds pay, because they don't have their own payroll system, they don't have their own IT system, they don't have all these other pieces, so that's just the general piece associated with that.
Councilor Kretovic.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. City Manager, I appreciate on the budget presentation night that you talked about that this is a watershed moment for the arena. And, Councilor Brown is bringing up a really good point about the pivotal change that we did at the golf course when it was being semi-supported on its operational side by general funds, and here we are with the arena. But the Golf Advisory Committee was tasked by the City Council to come up with a strategic plan to turn things around. And that occurred. And we are now funding the operational side, which was the concern at the time, and it's fully funded on its own. Yes, there are capital expenses, as there are here with the arena, as there have always been with the arena, but on the operational side. Do you think in this watershed moment it makes sense that we ask the Arena Advisory Committee to come up with a strategic plan to turn around the operations?
Well, I wouldn't say the word turnaround. I would say take a look at, see if there are other revenue opportunities, because I think when I've looked really deeply at the expense end. They've done all the improvements they possibly can on energy and lighting, and as you know, the boards are used. When I say used, come from someplace else. The glass is from someplace else. We've done the advertising. All the pieces that have been done. It's just at the point where the expenses associated with running a facility like that exceed the amount of revenues you can bring in based on the uses. And I always talk to Jeff Bardwell about this, and, are there openings during the season where you can have other shows? And there might be one here or one there, but he's always constantly trying to find ways to bring in additional revenues to do things, whether it's inside or outside. And of course, you've always tried to, I remember folks coming before the city council asking to sell things out in the parking lot, or to use it as parking, and you said, no, let's keep those prices really down low, understanding why, so that actually we can have people park there and come to the downtown and visit downtown for certain things. Or you've done work with the legislature in the past, you've done things with selling of Christmas trees and vegetable markets and seafood and all kinds of other things, but you've always tried to keep the prices down. You haven't taken the approach of being running it as a commercial operation. You've always tried to make it as affordable for the community as possible, because you understand that if you folks charge those prices, if you charge prices to them, they have to charge the prices to the customers. That would be valuable to take a look at and see if there are other avenues to do this. You have a lot of property there. Concord Group pays a very, very, very small lease but of course they're the ones who built their building there. But there are other opportunities probably to bring in revenues, particularly when the Merrimack River Greenway Trail is going to come right through there in future years. That could be a very major stopping point for a lot of folks, and you could have some sort of lease operations. Again, land and water conservation funds are applicable to a large amount of that property, and it's in a floodplain. So there's only so much use you can make available. But it is worth having the committee take a look at options.
One follow-up. For historic purposes, when we talked about selling beer at this facility, just beer, it was shot down by the community.
Yes.
Thanks.
Councilor Seku.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I have a few questions because I really do have to apologize because I forgot the young man that testified here on this arena.
Brendan Burke.
Brendan.
We get an email from him too.
Oh, okay. He eloquently talked about what can we do, what is the plan that we can have to make this arena a successful one, that we don't have to use general funds to support this arena. Do you have any, did you put any thoughts in thinking about what should we do, even if it's not his ideas, to make sure that this arena do sustain itself?
Well, in the past, you've looked at everything from adding a restaurant, a major restaurant onto the site, done the analysis for that. But what it comes down to generally is the city making a very large capital investment, everything into that, hoping that there's going to be a return over time that it's going to cover that investment and make a profit. So if you were to do something, so when you say music, let's say it would be a music venue for something, does that mean we're out of the arena business? Or is the arena business still, because the arena business is going to be part and parcel to the whole thing. So are we still having ice, or we're not having ice?
I think ice is important, but I think it's also...
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I have few of them.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
I think ice is important, and kids need, or anybody need to have that opportunity. But throughout this year, I see we have gun shows there, we have other activities that comes. So we can create other activities, because 170,000 of general fund to support that, and to make sure that at least throughout the years, because like you said, we have to make a decision to invest and hoping that it will generate some revenues to sustain itself.
So I think if you took a look at it from a business perspective, so if you were to do a music venue, that means you're either eliminating the ice portion of it, the operation, or you're going to eliminate the shows. Right? So you can't have it all. Then I think the issue is going to be, what type of investments are you willing to make in your facility? Are you going to be doing sound systems and lighting systems and all? Who's paying for all that? Are you willing to make those multi-million-dollar investments to be the Bank of New Hampshire and compete with the private sector on that, which you could, and you could probably do it pretty well, because of course you don't have to make a profit like they have to make immediately. So you got to decide. So that would be putting together a whole business plan with somebody who actually runs that business operation, and then be involved in the entire thing of setting up what acts are coming and who's going to be managing all of that. You probably want to do that through a lease with, or an agreement, and a management agreement with an operation. So, yeah, I mean, you could put together a, several $100,000 study to determine whether or not this is a viable operation before you make any type of investment. You're not going to just simply say, yeah, let's turn it into a music, that was just, music show, and we're going to start booking acts there and make it a profit.
For me, I'm not looking for music show. Thank you, Your Honor. This is, I'm just looking for ways, whatever that could be, to make sure that this is literally a sustainable business for the city, where it can generate more revenues. Either, as you said, we have to invest in it to make it profitable, or whatever that is. I think we do need to see a plan and to make sure that this arena is being utilized to its full potentials. Another question that I have, not different than what, okay. That's not a follow-up, it's just a question. Park and Rec take care of everything outside from the arena. Do they get paid to do so or no?
They get paid to do so. When you say take care of everything outside the arena, what do you mean?
They clean the lawn, they do anything outside of the arena, they do take care of. That's my understanding.
Let me ask Jeff to come forward on.
Welcome, Mr. Hoadley.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. The short answer is no. Okay. And the reason being, it's so difficult to go ahead and figure out who those users of the park are. If I wanted to go down for a picnic on my lunchtime, I'd use that. Whenever there are events down at the arena that include taking up the whole parking lot, then we go ahead and charge those. But we don't have any transfers between general services in the arena with Parks and Rec.
Thank you, because I did hear earlier at the airport, we do have that, but I just was wondering if the arena could have get something, if Park and Rec is really putting their time in to that, and I don't know how much time they do put in it. Yeah.
Councilor Caleb.
Oh, yes. Oh, all right. No, first off, I agree with Councilor Sekou and others. I appreciate learning over the years how we've tried to make this arena work. I really love this arena. I got this shirt at the arena at that yard sale that they had. That's a great event. Actually, okay, let me start with my easier question here. One thing I really do like seeing in here is the concession sales. Looks like increase over time, budgeted for $100,000 in revenue from concession sales. I'm assuming those concessions, well, first of all, I'm just curious what is sold, and that is not an outside vendor, that's the city.
Yeah. Jeff, number 2. Would you mind?
Oh, yes.
Where is he, number one?
Jeff, number 1.
Oh, my God.
Arena Jeff for general services.
He's got an exhaustive list that I probably would mess up. So I'll go ahead and leave it to the expert.
All right, 2
Well,
checks. This is great.
And before he starts, this is Jeff Bardwell. He's the Arena and Arena Properties Manager. He's been there for 23 years. And before that, he was a manager for 10 years at another location in the state of New Hampshire. So he's got quite a bit of experience in running an operation.
Awesome.
Okay. What is your question?
Yes, my question was about concessions first. I'm assuming this is correct, that the city is running that. It's not like an outside vendor like the golf clubhouse restaurant thing. And then I'm curious what types of things are sold. It seems very successful.
So the arena used to have a private vendor run the lease for it, for the snack bar, and over the years, I think the last vendor that was in there, they were paying us $10,000 for that spot. We took over the operation, I want to say in like 2012 or 2013, and since that time, we've been running it in-house, and we've been able to grow it to what you see in the budget now.
Yes, thank you. I guess follow up. No, it's impressive. I mean, we just saw the $38,000 that we received in the golf fund because it's an outside company, and yeah, it's impressive, $100,000. And I also wanted to say, perhaps at one point the community did not like the idea of beer or other alcohol sales, but I don't know, maybe their feelings have changed over time, and I do want to say it's based on what we saw Mr. Bork's presentation to us about his idea. It's really wonderful to get input from the community about what we want to see the future of this arena be. So my follow-up question is totally different. Thank you for answering the concessions question. When you say, Mr. City Manager, the arena business, it does not need to be ice. That's the choice that we have to make. Is it ice in the future or no ice, no hockey, no skating? That's our decision ahead of us?
No, I think the question, you have a couple things in front of you. One is you have as part of the capital budget, the building. Obviously you wouldn't build a building if you don't need the ice. So you have to make a decision whether or not is ice an element of what you want to have as part of that operation of some sort. And then once you make that decision, then and you can't. We're not like the Boston Garden where you can take the ice and cover it over and have an event. And this, I mean, once the ice is there, the ice is there until the ice isn't there, and then you can use it for other purposes. So I think that's kind of one of the questions you're going to have is how do you make the decision on what type of uses that you want to have going forward, and those types of uses will drive what the capital improvement costs are going to be for the building and for the usage.
Follow up?
Well, I think to answer that question that you just asked, how do you decide? I hope that it includes a lot of community input. But my follow-up question, oh my God, has turf been considered? I know that there's a huge gap in the market for field house for indoor soccer and lacrosse and all of that since the Bow Field House closed a few years back. Just curious if we've considered that route.
No, I don't think so.
No, because that would then preclude all the other events.
Okay.
Right, so you could get into that business. That's the whole thing, getting into that business and then using it as an operation for a field house. But then you wouldn't be able to have all the other shows and all the other revenues that come associated with that.
One more follow-up,
Yeah, follow-up.
quick one. More related to the capital improvement project compressor situation. Have we explored the role of fundraising at all in paying for this compressor? I know, like, the arena is super important to our hockey teams, things like that. I don't know if, I mean, we have lots of friends of groups, and I don't know if anything like that exists for the arena.
I'm sure you probably saw when you bought that shirt down at the arena, if you looked up along the banners and all the dasher boards, that's all advertisement. And that advertisement, I mean, the arena's done a fabulous job of trying to sell all those spaces. And so I think that's part of the fundraising, if you will, that shows that the arena is really meant to go ahead and put as much of their own sweat equity into that. One of the things I was going to mention before is one of the most difficult things to do is to figure out the economic impact of all of these mites teams, squirts team, Bantam teams that are coming to Concord for a weekend to play in a tournament. And so when we get community input, it would be important to talk to hotel owners, the restaurants. I'm sure Buffalo Wild Wings and some of the other restaurants there are inundated when we have events like that. And even with some of the dry floor shows, those are important economic drivers for the community that we just need to take into consideration.
Thank you.
Councilor Kurtz.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the questions. I agree that we have a reckoning and a decision we have to make about whether we remain in the arena business. And I would encourage counselors who are curious about some of the questions that Counselor Caleb has raised to go to an arena committee meeting. We've discussed many of these issues at length, and I'll just, for the sake of the public, say that one of the biggest user of the arena is youth hockey, and not pay-to-play hockey, right? The local leagues that serve kids who are not paying to travel to skate on the seacoast, whatever. And so the arena's worked very hard to control their rates so that those youth have access to hockey, which is already an expensive sport because of all of the equipment involved. But in addition, the youth hockey as the primary user has really influenced the conversation around alcohol sales. And the idea of alcohol sales at a youth hockey tournament has frequently resulted in the committee being like, maybe not a great idea, right? So while a robust community conversation is certainly appropriate anytime the community is considering whether or not we want to remain in the business of, insert X, I just wanted to let the community know that under Mr. Bardwell's leadership, these things have been discussed at length, and really we've gone back and forth a lot, at least in the time that I was on the committee. And I know that when I raised some of the questions, I was told, sure, we can talk about this, Counselor. Let's bring up our notes from 6 years ago when we talked about it. So I had no new ideas that they had not gone over. I do have a question about the CIP project and the chillers, if that's appropriate. I know that the arena has been held together with very carefully sourced, used materials from its inception. And the arena chillers project is one of the largest that we're looking at in the CIP this year. Just for the sake of council and myself and the community, have you looked into, and I assume you have, but have you looked into any ways to do this partway or on a shoestring or with a used chiller, or before coming with this ask? Sort of, could you tell us what other pathways you might have exhausted?
Well, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So, but we've looked at this long and hard, and the compressors that are there now, we have a 1949 and a 1952. So they were used when the building opened in 1965. All the piping associated with the compressors is 60 years old. So it's not just the compressors, it's a lot of the infrastructure that's in there around it. And then we've made improvements over the years with the energy project that happened back in 2006 with new brine pumps, etc. Well, that was in 2006. Those are now 20 years old and have been rebuilt a couple times during their lifespan. So equipment will last so long, but it does need to be, we've upkept it as best as we can, and this was not something that we just decided, hey, why don't we just, spend a lot of money type of thing. We looked at all the different facets, can we phase it or anything, but in all reality is, if we're going to do it, it's staff's responsibility to present administration and the council with the best plan, and that's what we've done. So our recommendation is still to go ahead with the project.
And just to add on to what Jeff said, I guess the message there is this isn't something that we're just a knee-jerk reaction to something. It's been sort of well planned out. Jeff and his staff have taken a look at this. We've reached out to some consultants. This is the best way to go. Jeff would tell you that to try to be as proactive as possible, especially with compressors, that if they fail, you have catastrophic failure, to try to go ahead and fix these on an emergency basis would cost significantly more, plus the revenue that you would lose. So it's important to go ahead and take a proactive approach for this type of project.
Follow-up. So you answered part of my question, which is if you could please explain for us, if we were to push this CIP item a year, what would that look like?
That's one part of it. I think more importantly is the possibility of an ammonia leak inside a public space. Consider you're at a Concord versus Bishop Brady hockey game, and the arena would be packed. You know, that type of leak at that particular time would be horrific. And you know, we're trying to look at this two different ways: public safety, then obviously the equipment and its age.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Council Kretovic.
Thank you, Your Honor. Not to harp on concessions when we're all hungry for dinner. The $100,000 that is profit, that does not take into consideration the cost of employees, the employee benefits, the overtime, the cost of purchasing the food. That $100,000 is just purely what we take in, but not the expense side, correct?
That's the gross revenue. The net revenue is about 30% of that number, so.
So about 33,000.
Correct.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Other questions? Council Brown.
Yes, so I'm just looking at the 2024 budget, and it has compressor replacement at $331,000. But now we're looking at the replacement as $3.2 million.
Yeah, when we proposed that project, we had a number pre-COVID that for a compressor replacement, and that was replacing it in the existing room and everything. When we went out to bid on the project, even after consulting with the refrigeration contractor that supplied that, that number's been escalated. But even so, post-COVID, we ended up, we had the compressor replacement, but we had an add alternate of the condenser, which is the unit that's outside. And the compressor portion of that project, the bids came in so far over budget, we did not do that. We ended up doing just the condenser portion of the project. So we didn't replace that's why we didn't replace the compressors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
The
much.
city manager, solid waste fund.
Okay.
Stay up here.
Okay, stay close. So that's item number 10. And so for solid waste fund, you'll want to be on page 192. Now, page 192 for fiscal year 26, revenues projected to budget are up $510,000. And this is due to the city receiving its prorated share of the sale of land on Whitney Road by the Concord Regional Solid Waste Cooperative of $522,000 and a decrease in container revenue of $13,000. The fiscal year 27 budget-to-budget revenues are up $180,000 or 4%, and that's due to the Downtown Solid Waste District revenue up $16,000, and the transfer in from general fund up $145,000. On page 193, expenses for fiscal year 26 projected to budget are down $39,000 due to savings in wages and benefits and professional services. For fiscal year 27 budget-to-budget expenses are up $292,000, and that's due, or 6%, and that's due to wage and benefit increases up $31,000, professional services pay-as-you-throw contractual increases up $251,000. So of the $292,000, $251,000 is the contract. Pay-as-you-throw compliance monitoring and outreach costs $32,000. This is a new automated collection pilot program starting in July to ensure residents maintain compliance with the Purple Bag program and to help educate residents in the pilot program. Establish a food waste drop-off collection program, that's $2,500. Site inspection and evaluation for old Suncook Road landfill, it's $3,000. And debt service increase of $9,600. Then you want to, we'll go to the pro forma. The revised pro forma, I should say. That's page 579. The projected net line at the bottom of the page shows a budgeted fiscal year 26 loss of $1.02 million. The next column, fiscal year 26 estimate, is a loss of $468,000 or $549,000 better, and it results in an ending working capital of $2.9 million. This included the $522,000 for the sale of the land on Whitney Road, as I discussed a few minutes ago. Fiscal year 27 budget, the next column projects a loss of $1.1 million. As you can see, without using fund balance, the general fund transfer would be much more significant, and we will need to increase that in the next few years. Following ending working capital line in the pro forma to the out years, the balance remains positive. It is on target for the end of fiscal year 2032, with increasing transfers from the general fund and a projected bag increase in fiscal year 28. Also, please remember the General Services is starting the pilot program in July for the automated collection system, and it will be necessary for Solid Waste Advisory Committee and City Council to review program outcomes as you go forward looking at the budget. Be glad to answer any questions.
Questions on solid waste fund? Councilor Foot.
Estimated, thank you, Your Honor. So we've got basically a $1 million hole in this. What would the cost, be the necessary cost of purple bag increases to make this zero level funded?
You want to increase
Calculate that.
To be fair, Mr. Hoadley, he told you not to go far.
I think the real, I know what you're asking, so we'll get an answer on that. But the real answer is, it's probably about 15%. You probably move the 15% increase up to this year from, instead of it being in 28.
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay, go ahead. Let's see how far off I am. Okay.
Yeah, I was just walking up here doing the math. We presently, Adam Clark, we presently recover about $1.5 million from the pay-as-you-throw bag. So if you were looking to recover an additional $1 million, I would say two-thirds of the current price.
Increase.
Increase.
Yes.
Right.
Rough.
Could I?
Mr.
Maybe I give a little history on
Please do.
how this is set up. So when you originally set up all these programs, what you try to do is approach it from the standpoint of the general fund would handle the overall cost of trash, not recycling materials. And then what you try to do is have the pay-as-you-throw bags handle the recycling cost, if I get that correct, right? So, because the fund has been so healthy over the years, what you've been able to do, as you can see the transfer in from general, if you're looking at the pro forma, you can see in fiscal year 26 it's 1.4. I'm suggesting it for 26 estimate, I'm suggesting it go up to 1.567. That could very easily be another $1 million. If you were to follow that same logic over time, you would be increasing the taxes by 2% higher just to handle the increases in the trash costs. But you've tried not to do that because you had the balance in the solid waste fund, so you've tried to keep that, either the bag increase down or the transfer in from general fund down. And that's where, recognizing the fact that time will come when you'll have to do one or the other or both to do that. But you didn't want to do it if you had the money in the fund that could cover those costs. And over the time, we've been able to push that out year after year. I'm trying to remember when we first started the Purple Bag Program, we thought there'd be an increase after 5 years, I thought it was. We ended up going 7 or more. 7 years. So you've been able to push every opportunity you can. You push back those costs if you have the revenue in the fund to handle that program. So what I'm saying, so as you can see, when you look at next year, the transfer in from general services is going to go up $1 million. Now, will you look at that in fiscal year 28 and say, is that really necessary? Do I do a bag increase of 15%? But even if you do that, you're only going to capture $225,000, and the other $750,000 will have to come from the general fund, and you'll have to figure out at that time, is that still necessary to do?
Other questions? Go ahead.
I just have one thing. These are all the increases that you've seen all the other communities go through over the years, and many other communities said, you know what, that's why we're not doing recycling anymore. We're getting out of the recycling business, and we're just going to do trash. This is one of the reasons you went in the new contract to keep the prices down, you went to we went to the new contract, we went, and we had to go out to bid, and we ended up with the best prices that you could find, so.
Councilor Todd.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Clark. You correct my numbers if I'm wrong, but my recollection is that, because we get this question sometimes comes up from folks who say, why are we still doing the purple bags? We're going to automated collection. And my answer has so far been that we looked at this in, I guess it was late 2024, maybe my timing is off on that, but at that time we came up with some numbers which obviously have to be adjusted. But I believe that we would be looking at a 4.4% tax increase if we eliminated the purple bag program. Is that?
That's what it was at the time, yes.
Follow up?
Yes, and I think also that would equate to, on a $350,000 property, somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 extra that you have to pay annually.
That's what I recall.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Just one more quick follow-up, which is that, thank you. The other reason that, of course, just to remind folks that we've gotten into the pay-as-you-throw program is that for that portion where you're purchasing purple bags, that's the portion of the program where you really have direct control over the costs that are associated with trash disposal, because you're only going to purchase as many bags as you need for your household to eliminate your solid waste. Is that a correct way to sort of sum up the pay-as-you-throw program? You're smiling. I know you're.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Councilor Brown.
Yes, how does the purple bag program affect, or is it implemented in the TIF districts? Do people who live in the TIF districts, do they purchase purple bags? What is that? You know, I know that the TIF district pays for that maintenance. Do they?
Yeah, there's no relationship between my operation and the TIF districts.
Okay.
No difference, I should say.
Do they, I'm sorry, follow up?
Follow up.
Do they purchase purple bags at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They do? Okay.
Councilor Keach.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was also going to add that most of the TIF districts are in the solid waste district, so they would use dumpsters in most cases.
Certainly, if they're in the downtown district, we have a certain district within the community here that's in what they call the downtown solid waste district. It's a different type operation than our curbside collection program.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, that takes us to enterprise funds.
Can we have a 2-minute break?
I have a request for a 2-minute break.
That's a good idea.
All right, we're recessed for 2 minutes. So it was a 4-minute break. Okay. Mr. City Manager, the floor is yours.
The next section is the water fund, and that's item number 11. And you want to start on page 198. So fiscal year revenues projected to budget are down $111,000 due to water usage is down $192,000, and investment income is up $31,000. Fiscal year 27 revenues budget to budget are up $585,000 or 7%, and that's due to usage revenues being up $375,000, which includes a 6% rate increase if you decide to approve that. Availability is up $182,000, and due to the increase in the availability charge, investment income is down $7,800. Other revenue is down $8,700, and transfers in trust is up $47,500. Next on page 199, fiscal year 26 expenses projected to budget are down. So expenses are down $198,000 due to wages and benefits are down $192,000. Electricity is down $15,000, and heating oil and kerosene is up $10,000. Fiscal year 27 budget expenses to budget to budget are up $616,000 or 8% due to wage and benefit increases contracts. Up $82,000. Professional services are up $52,000. That's really an increase for lab testing for PFAS, arsenic, and lead. Those increases in those costs. Debt service is up $170,000. Transfer out to the general fund for overhead is up $64,000, and transfer to capital is up $164,000. And then you want to move on to the revised pro forma. And that's on page 580. So fiscal year 26 budget projected net is a loss of $150,000. The fiscal year 86 projects a net loss of $64,000. So the projection is $86,000 better than budget. This provides for ending working capital of $2.4 million. Fiscal year 27 request calls for a 6% water rate increase and provides for a loss of $181,000, which results in an ending working capital of $2.2 million. As you go across the out years, the pro forma is calling for a rate increase of 3.5% each year, just figuring inflation. Managing capital projects in future years helps to keep the rate increases reasonable. The ending working capital in fiscal year 32 is lower than the target working capital, but is still very manageable. And the last attachment you have, which is water rate comparisons. In comparisons to other communities, it's both blue and orange bars for Concord keeps us the third lowest rate compared to other communities. The orange bar, as you can see, includes a 6% rate increase identified in the pro forma. For the average property owner using 8 CCF, so centum cubic feet of water, the water portion of the bill will increase by $1.65 a month. Glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for the city manager? Councilor Brown.
Yes, you just said it will increase $1.65 a month.
Yes.
Is that for
For typical household usage.
typical, what is the typical household usage?
8 CCF.
8 CCF is $1.65.
Yeah.
Other questions? Councilor Kurtz.
Thank you. Looking at the pro forma, I have a question about the proposed rate increase, and forgive me, I'm sure that we have discussed this, but why the 6% and then 3.5, 3.5, 3.5? Is that more significant jump because of anticipated projects?
Capital expenditures.
Capital, yeah, okay.
And what you want to do is obviously if you charge that up front, you can do lower numbers as you go forward in the future because for compounding interest.
Thank you. That's what I remembered. I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Councilor Sekou.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you guys put this beautiful chart to show where we stand as a city, and I see we are below many other cities, but why Manchester is so low? I know we are not in Manchester.
Volume.
Any other questions?
Wow.
All right. Mr. City Manager, thank you. I believe that moves us to
Wastewater.
wastewater, yes.
So you want to be on item number 12? So for item number 12, already flipped over, starting on page 203. Fiscal year 20, revenues in fiscal year 26 projected column are expected to be $97,000 under budget. So sewer usage revenue is down $595,000 because you can recognize the less water you use, the less sewer you're going to get. That's part of that. Sewer fixed charges are up $73,000. Septic processing is up $100,000. Investment income is up $330,000. Fiscal year 27, revenues budget to budget are up $1.4 million, or 13%. That's primarily because sewer usage up $751,000, which includes a 15% rate increase. Fixed charges are up $381,000. Septic processing up $100,000. Investment income up $149,000. And the share of debt service is up $42,000. That share of debt service comes from the state of New Hampshire for our past projects. Expenses on page 204. For fiscal year 26, expenses projected to budget are down $114,000, so $114,000 less. Professional services are down $4,000. Wages and benefits are down $47,000. Department supplies are down $10,000. Electricity is down $57,000. For fiscal year 27, expenses budget to budget are up $1.6 million, or 12%, and this is what's driving the increase in the rate. Wages and benefits increased $262,000. Professional services are up $80,000. Departmental supplies are down $10,000. Electricity is up $18,000. Debt service, so of that $1.6 million, debt service is up $1.1 million. Transfers to general fund are up $124,000. Transfers to capital is down $2,000, and includes the wastewater portion of the source capacity fee study. So we're looking at doing a study for that, and for the wastewater portion is $47.50. If you look at the pro forma, the revised wastewater pro forma on page 581, the projected net line under the fiscal year 26 budget column shows a loss of $1.95 million. The projected net for fiscal year 26 estimated loss is $1.93 million, or $17,000 better than budget, and this results in ending working capital of $4.74 million. For fiscal year 27 request column, projected net is a loss of $2.09 million, includes the proposed wastewater rate increase of 15%. This results in an ending working capital of $2.66 million. If you follow the pro forma out to the out years, the rate increases are 20% in fiscal year 28 and 29, and 17.5% and 30. Then decreases to 10% and 5% following that. The rate increases are driven by capital investment is really what this is all about, and are planned and necessary for the next few years. The ending working capital of $5.3 million is fiscal year 32 is slightly less than the target of $5.8 million, and is still manageable. I'm glad to answer any questions on the pro forma. But let me just do the comparison, just so you have that all on the table, and then we can get to that. The last attachment on the graph, just like the water, is the wastewater rate comparisons. The city's wastewater rate is the 5th lowest in the comparison of the communities that you've asked us to look at. The orange bar includes the 15% rate increase for the average property owner using the same 8 CCF of water, and the wastewater portion of the bill will increase by $5.72 per month. As you can see, really just for your notes, Concord and Portsmouth, and you can see Portsmouth on the chart, those are the only 2 communities with operating 2 wastewater treatment facilities. So you obviously have those costs associated with that. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for the city manager? Council Brown.
Yes, so in June 2024, we approved the sewer main rehab and construction for $7.5 million, and that was just bonded this year, February. Why did we wait to do that?
We don't bond until we need the dollars to move forward with the project.
But why did we, why
Follow
was,
up?
yes, follow up. Why didn't we wait until like this, until like last year to put it in the budget? Why did we put it in the budget that early?
Because we were planning to do the project.
Just planning it out
Yeah,
a year in
and
advance?
try to get out of it. Well, there's a lot of design costs associated with any of these projects, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole construction element that follows that, so.
Okay.
Other questions? Counselor?
Yes. When was the last time we did a rate increase for wastewater?
Probably last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You went for a whole number of years, which, when you look at the chart, you see how low we are compared, if I could,
Follow, go ahead.
where we are. You went for a whole number of years with no rate increases. And the reason you did that is because you had such high balances in your working capital that you didn't want to, you're sitting at, I think wastewater one time had $6 million. You didn't want to start increasing rates when you're sitting on that much money, so you've been trying, so then you tried probably for, I'd say the council tried for a number of years to spend down those numbers and could not spend down those numbers because and I'll give you one example. If you look at the wastewater pro forma, and you see, actually, I'm sorry, let's go to the wastewater fund expenses. I'm sorry, revenues. So if you go to page 203 of the, right, and you're going to see a line there that says leachate processing, and it says 100, Jim, no, I'm sorry. Councilor Slosh knows, he and I have had this long conversation. You see 188,000, and then you can see it's zeros. That's because we're not accepting leachate from dumps or landfills, which now, if you wanted to decide you wanted to do that, and it's a proposal that staff and I brought to the council, said, we understand there's going to be a big impact eventually on this, but if you go back to the year prior to that, in 2024, that revenue was $1 million. So that revenue today, if you decided you want to be in the leachate processing business and dumping it into the Merrimack River, you could probably be at $1.5 million in revenue annually.
Mr. City Manager, for the benefit of the people listening at home, could you just take a small second and explain what leachate is?
So essentially, this is the residue that's coming out of the landfills that needs to be treated somewhere. So the best way to generally to treat this is probably burning it, I think. But you can run it through wastewater processing facilities. The problem is that impacts the river and the quality of the river, and then it impacts, now a lot of communities down from us actually use the Merrimack River as part of their water resource. So we had a conversation about that, and we decided, as the council decided, made the good decision based on staff recommendation to get out of that. And because and very much like you got out of the business of, we used to actually have be able to spread biosolids on farm properties, and the farmers would come and get that. But knowing there's a PFAS element associated with that years ago, we got out of that business too. So the problem is, those are very, very large revenue sources, which allowed you to keep your rates down very, very low. And now we have to make some adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
So you know,
Understandable trade-off.
little
Yes,
history.
thank you.
Little history.
Thank you for that explanation. I mentioned that biosolids are what's left over after you flush the toilet. It goes through the process. Yeah, okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
City Manager?
Oh, can I just do the appendices, just so the community knows what's available? Okay, so then if you go to item number 13, appendices, you'll see that while I generally don't go over this appendices in detail as part of my presentation, I want to discuss the general fund pro forma that we have added to the new items under G and H on the appendices. When you get a chance, take a look at that. And under the 26 budget column, we budget for net results at the end of the fiscal year. So in this case, the use of fund balances is budgeted at $3,030,000, which is the bottom line of the revenue section. So under the fiscal year 26 estimated column, The use of fund balance revenue line is zero because we don't post the revenue. So that's a question that always comes up from the community. We don't post the revenue in the use of fund balance line. Again, in fiscal year 26 is anticipated that other revenues or reductions in expenses will not fully make up the use of fund balance, and this will result in revenues being short of expenses projected by $1.4 million, which we've talked about. I expect this to likely be somewhat higher, this amount, due to City Council decisions at their May meeting. Remember, we used $385,000 to remove the bleachers at Memorial Field, and this amounts to the addition of the 2026 revised use of fund balance budget to $3,030,000. If you move, and then moving on, if you look at appendices G and H as you go through your book, you see on page 591, then G provides a listing and description of the capital reserve accounts that was requested. So if you go to G, you can see all the capital reserve accounts and the dollars there. And H is budget details for all the line items in the operating budget. This is something all the city councilors got in the past, but we put it in the book so it's all available. And that concludes all my comments.
Thank you. Any further questions for the city manager before we open public hearing? Councilor Brown.
Yes, on page 571, Appendix D, it lists Ward 3's population as 4,512. That's including the prison population of 2,246 from the 2020 census. Is that correct?
I believe it includes the men's prison population. The women's prison population
is in Ward 5. Follow up?
Follow up.
I did contact the prison, and their capacity is only 1,300. So, you know, I feel like that number is...
The federal government, what they come up with,
Right.
dealing with the,
Right.
I don't know if they were, how they came up with that.
Yeah. I think in our last year's budget, we had the population, we subtracted the census number for the prison since
We can't do that.
prison.
Hang on.
What?
I'm sorry.
There'll be order, please. Go ahead, Councilor.
In
Did you finish your
in
question?
last year's, actually the last couple of budgets, we had the population that did not include the 2020 census prison block population number. We just had the 2,100. So I just request that we have the same numbers that we had previously.
Where would we? The budget?
In previous
I'm not sure what
budgets.
you're asking,
The
Councilor.
previous budgets, this number is different than from previous budgets on page 571. The population is not accurate.
I used to do planning years ago. And
It was
I'm
last-
glad I got out
just
of it, so
thought
I don't.
I just thought it was, we were using the same numbers as last year,
I think it's
so-
fair to say that we can
Are you
double check
involved?
that.
Yeah, you can
yeah,
double
so-
check that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, these census figures come from the federal government.
Right, this
So-
is different from last year's budget, so.
Councilor Kurtz, did you have?
No, I'm
Councilor
gonna move on.
Kretovic?
Thank you.
I haven't, I'm
All right, okay. Councilor Todd?
Yeah, thank you. If I could, just for a minute, I know we want to get to the, I don't want to delay folks who want to give public testimony, but I just thought, and the city manager can correct me if I'm wrong about any of this to his knowledge, but if we go back over but we've gone through everything now, the program change requests, the CIP, we've looked at the TIF districts and all of that. So if I'm looking at just the program change requests made by all the departments as we reviewed at these meetings, the requests were about 1.9 million, just under that, right? But that's not what the city manager proposed. City manager did not propose that we spend $1.9 million on these requests. In fact, what we ended up with, his proposal calls for a net gain in revenue. So again, that's no impact on the tax rate. And then the program change request spending is at a net of $35,000. So that means plus, we're coming out ahead by $35,000. So theoretically, that $35,000 is used to reduce the tax impact, correct? I keep going, Your Honor. Thank you.
Follow up?
Thank you. And so, and actually at $35,000, I'll note that it includes the one item the city manager added under community development, which was the $5,000 for the lighted stop signal. And then, but I'll also note that program change 1032-36 under fire, increased funding for peer support training, $2,500, was actually listed and added twice to the total. So I did reduce that amount. It's on, appears on pages 543 and 544. And then, and the items that we discussed tonight are actually on these particular program change requests and so forth, and the items we went through, those are really paid through the special revenue funds, the enterprise funds, or by the users. So in other words, we're not really seeing, there's a fee with the wastewater, but we're not seeing any direct tax impact to the general public from those. That's a correct, thank you. If I could, Your Honor. Yeah, so the other category that we discussed is additional bonding obligations for the CIP, capital improvement programs. If we exclude the funding from all sources, such as revenue funds or capital closeout or those kinds of things, and we look at just the general fund bonds, I'm coming up with a total of $10,168,600 of new bonding out of a total, a grand total of CIP spending of $25,148,344. So in other words, another way to look at that is that 40% of the total CIP spending that's being proposed is planned to come from the general fund bonding, and the remaining 60% is from other sources that won't have a direct or immediate impact on taxpayers. Is that
That's correct.
correct way of saying it? Good, thank you.
Follow up?
I just looking it over for you, Your Honor. I don't want to go too long here, but I think I'll stop there for now and let folks have a chance to give testimony. But where I'm going with this is then if we looked at the projects that are proposed for general fund bonding, there really aren't any projects in there that I could identify that would fall into the category of other than police, fire, or maintaining our public facilities, which also has a safety element to it. In fact, the only projects that I could find in that other category would be the Green Street Library HVAC, fire station improvements to pave parking at the various stations, and then if you wanted to include the arena chillers, but technically that's also maintaining a current resource. So there are very few projects that don't have any relation to our ongoing obligations, basically, and we're looking at, I believe it's the figure is correct, of it's 73% basically of the budget is personnel costs. So it would be the case, I think, this year, as well as what you had stated, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, last year, that if we wanted to do not a 5.5% tax increase, but a 0% tax increase, there'd be no way to really do that without touching on personnel and reducing personnel, which would then have effect on all the departments theoretically, and it would certainly be a reduce in services that we'd be providing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sekou.
I do have a question for you. When you were talking about fire and safety in general, could you explain why you think that safety is the only one? Because safety, in my understanding, I met with the city manager, is not the only one.
May I speak to that? Thank you. Thank you for the question, Councilor Sekou. I have these categories. I divided this up. I did this on my own. But I have basically, again, we're looking at the general services, general fund bonds portion.
That's correct.
We have police and fire. I have a total of 3.2 million, basically. That's about that. I've now read off just about everything in those categories. And the only other three I mentioned earlier, which were the ones that I kind of put in the other category. So that's, if that answers your question, that's where I'm coming up with so many of these CIP projects are related to police, fire, or touch on public safety in a way, or certainly in maintaining our facilities.
Councilor Sekou.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to know if is it fair to add also the projected position in safety in general? Because what you capture now, it's not only project, because you are talking about vests, guns, and everything else. But we do have some position that we are projecting to hire, and it's in the budget. Is it fair to say that should be added there or not? Because that's a general fund.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, and I was just focusing on the items that I just looked at for, CIP, and I wasn't really focusing on personnel because, as I was saying, 73% of the budget is personnel. We know that there are a lot of costs that are associated with that as well. But so, the numbers could be higher, but I'm just looking at the various project costs for items that we would be, physical items that we would be working on.
Is it fair to say you're looking at capital projects,
Exactly.
not personnel?
Yes.
No, but why I was confused is, and I'm sorry if because you said the 5.5 projected that we are giving. So if you are only focusing on CIP, it won't be that high. personnel has to be part of it to be the 5.5, if that makes sense.
Councilor Todd.
Yes, that does make sense, and that's correct. I was just saying that what I was saying earlier, I believe, was in order to, let's say, have a 0% tax increase, that you would have to affect, exactly what you're saying, just in a different way, you would have to affect personnel, because you could, I just asked the city manager, and he said he couldn't do it without having an effect on personnel as well. That's correct. Yeah.
Councilor Brown.
I think one of the things we have to remember is that when we approve these CIP projects, they may not be bonded right away. Like, these CIP projects in this budget are not going to show up in the taxes in fiscal year 2027. We bonded $50.8 million in projects this year, and a lot of that was from projects that were approved in fiscal year 2025. So it's because, we're waiting for design or when the timing is right. So, I think we have to really be very critical about what we approve, because they could be bonded at any moment. So this 5.5% includes all those projects that were bonded in February, which included from previous years. So it's significantly more, and we're looking at the tax increase for next year when we approve projects in this CIP. That's just something that we need to.
Well, I appreciate this discussion. I would note that we're going to have a work session on Thursday where we'll be able to discuss all of this in detail, and there have been a lot of people waiting while we've been going through the budget, portions of the budget that with the city manager. So I'd like to open this up to public hearing. Thank you. All right. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to comment or testify on any portion of the budget? Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please identify yourselves for the record.
Hi, my name is Lucy Hodder, and with me is Emily Burak, and we are here on behalf of the New Hampshire Book Festival, the New Hampshire Book and Literary Festival, because we want to tell you about the importance of the community arts grant that you provided to us, just what we have done with that, how important it's been to our organization, and what it's done in terms of community building and resources brought to downtown Main Street, Concord. So we also primarily want to thank you and answer your questions and tell you a little bit about what we do. We chose Concord for our one and only and the first statewide New Hampshire Book Festival, and we chose it for a reason, and that's because of the collaboration we've had with the City of Concord and how much it has meant to us. I'm one of the founding directors and a volunteer, and have lived in and around Concord and worked here for 33 years. And with me is Emily Burak, who is our president. She is an author and has also lived in this community for many years. So I'm going to turn it over to her to tell you a little bit about the book festival and why it's been so important to have your support.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Emily Burak. Nice to be here. As Lucy said, we are just incredibly thankful for this grant money, and we are very happy to be here to tell you what we've done with it, and to hope that perhaps you'll continue to give it to other organizations like ours that want to come into Concord and do some interesting things. To give you a sense of our history, Concord, this group awarded us $20,000 in grants on our very first year, and then $20,000 the next year and $15,000 for this year. And this was seed money to get us going, which was really, really important, and one of the main reasons why we decided that Concord was a great place to have this festival rather than a Nashua or a Portsmouth or a Manchester, where they have many more people. Why are the grants so critical? To have a quality book festival, the kind that attracts top authors and attendees from all over the country, takes about $150,000 in investment to start. And so not only that, but it's super hard to encourage people to sponsor and to support an event that's never happened before. And having the City of Concord say, hey, we're behind you and we're encouraging, this was just a huge lifesaver and a game changer for us. Why a book festival. Well, we were the only state in New England that didn't have a major book festival. A number of us thought that was something that we really wanted to change. We wanted to create a beloved, centrally located annual event in New Hampshire that not only increased community, but gave book lovers a place to get involved and engage in conversation and share the pure joy of reading great stories. Not so much a monetary thing, but a really big, important human thing. What is a book festival? Do any of you know? Okay, good. For those of you who don't, there are many kinds, but a common thread is giving readers an opportunity to meet authors in person and to ask questions and to meet other people and talk about books. We often say that at the New Hampshire Book Festival in Concord, stories come alive and community thrives. As part of this book festival, Concord's become a literary destination. We are one of the top book festivals in the country right now. In our third year only, we are the largest literary event in New Hampshire history. Over 5,000 people come to Concord for this book festival from across the country, from Europe and Canada. And we attract the country's top authors. Hundreds and hundreds apply for 60 positions on our panels. And these are people from other countries and from all over the U.S. Unlike a lot of book festivals, we host authors for both adult readers and for children. Usually it's one or the other. We do both along with poetry. And all of the free panels that we have here on Main Street are absolutely packed. Our authors include everything from debut authors to Newbery and Caldecott winners, National Book Award winners, and Pulitzer Prize winners. The festival is the first weekend in Concord. We start by first helping our school children in New Hampshire meet an author in person. We have a special event just for school children where we bring in some pretty big names. Kids come from all over, 1,300 kids actually from all over the state come to Concord. Many have never been to Concord or have never been in a professional theater. This year we have Jeff Kinney, who is probably the most famous book author of current time. He wrote The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm sure none of you have it on your book stand, but many people that are younger than us do. It's sold over 300 million copies worldwide. That show for Jeff Kinney for school children in New Hampshire sold out in 2 hours, a record for the Capitol Center of the Arts for any show. We bring the kids in, and we also give grants to T1 schools so that they can take buses to Concord. Many people can't do that. That's one reason why a lot of people don't take advantage of this. And we give every single child, 1,300, an autographed brand new copy from that author to bring home. Teachers have told us that this event is life-changing for children, and many of the children that receive these books have never had a brand new book to bring into their home in their lives. Friday evening, we have a great author this year is going to be Jodi Picoult, who is a really famous best-selling author on Friday night. And then Jeff Kinney comes back on Saturday for a family event. But the real big event that we all love is we close down South Main Street between Fayette and Concord on Saturday. And we have a full book festival day, food carts, activities, children's activities, adults, literacy vendors, and then 16 live events with authors all day that are free and open to the entire community. The bulk of people that come are between 25 and 54. They're made up from diverse backgrounds, and they hail from all over the place, from California to Florida, Europe, and Canada. And we could go on, but it's a late night. And I just wanted to say that this was a pretty fantastic thing the city did. We really, really appreciate it, and we hope that you continue to do it for other organizations like ours in the future, because we think it's great for the community. I will say one last thing. We have 100 volunteers from this community that run this book festival. And if that doesn't say the community loves it, I don't know what does. This has just been a great event, and they do over 500 hours just to bring this event on. So another just nod to the community.
Yeah, and just to add, the event that happens on Friday when the school kids come from all over the state, the busloads coming, and then all the kids walk from the Concord Public Schools, it's like a rock show. I mean, it's unbelievable, the noise in the Capitol Center. And we also have been really committed to making sure the students can come. And we also make sure the authors can come, many of whom, I mean, writing books is not exactly a lucrative profession, so we're very supportive of our authors who come here and the experience that they have, so they will remember Concord, which they do, and we've become incredibly popular. But the kids who are able to experience it, it is just an unbelievable time. We also have made sure that all of our offerings, other than the keynotes, where we try and raise some money, are free, so everybody can come and experience the storytelling and the author experience for free, with all different kinds of books and experiences, from romance to fiction to horror to every kind of book
big.
there is. It is really big, and I just can't tell you the amount of professionalism from Emily and also the chair, Sarah Crow, who's also an author, to bring this and pull this off. We have no paid staff, which is something we want to look forward to changing in the future. But it's really incredible, and we owe a lot to you all. We are getting competition from the Seacoast, so we are even more bound and determined. They saw what we did and thought with their, I shouldn't go into this, they're very endowed staff. They would try and do the same, but we are committed to Concord and to doing it this way with our collaborators, Gibson's, Cap Center, City of Concord, and our other partners, because it makes a real difference.
Thank you. Questions? Councilor Kurtz.
Yeah, first a thanks. I was able to get my nephews to see 2AT Sutherland last year, which was, as you
fantastic.
have indicated, a life-changing experience. But very compelling, everything you've shared. The 5,000 people, roughly, that come into Concord for the multi-day festival, do you have any sense, perhaps even anecdotally, of lodging in Concord, eating at restaurants, the sort of economic benefit to the city that may come from the festival?
We do. We work with several Dupree properties and the Hotel Concord, so we have people staying in all of those places. Most people come for the entire weekend, and so they're looking for places to stay and buy and shop. We get a lot of feedback, especially from our authors that we speak with a lot. They go, wow, Concord, there's a lot to do. They're shopping, they're hanging out. So we're really thrilled that they're taking advantage of the city.
And some of the restaurants have reported back to us it's been one of their most popular days. Everybody's on the street, and also for dinner, both Friday night and Saturday night. So it's been really, really important for that.
Thank you.
Councilor Brown.
I just want to say thank you. It's about time that New Hampshire had a book festival. It's truly wonderful. New Hampshire has the great renown of having the oldest state library in the nation, 1717, and it's just fantastic. It's very literary. A lot of my constituents from Ward 5, authors, and also Concord Public Library Foundation members volunteered, and they're thrilled about it. And so it really is magical. 2AT Sutherland is amazing, and I do have her books on my bookshelf as well as Jeff Kenny's. So yes, thank you so much. I do. I know that you will have a lot of support in our community. Financially, it's when the library, our own personal public library, is seeing threats financially. It's hard to then give out grants, but I know that you will always have support from this community. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for all you do. And the Concord Library Foundation has been wonderful as a collaborator. So we have bookmarks. We allowed to give out bookmarks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have books.
I know.
Yeah,
I'll never say no. Support all of us, and what you get is a bookmark. But so much more. So come join us in October.
Yeah, we hope you all can be
Please,
there
please,
and
please.
introduce yourselves. We'd love for the whole board to tell their appreciation.
And we just posted signups for our volunteers.
Good promotion. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I just say, listening to you all and the work you do, thank you. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Lots of detail.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Watch your step going down.
Yeah.
Would anyone else like to testify? Mr. Schweiker.
Did you miss Martha in the back?
I know.
Is the person way back?
Yeah, I saw. Welcome.
Good evening, mayors and members of the Finance Committee. I'm Roy Schweiker. I would first like to sort of answer the question on the census. And that is, apparently, the U.S. Census in 2020 was conducted incorrectly. I happened to work for the U.S. Census in 2020, but it wasn't my fault. That apparently what happened is that you're supposed to, when you do the census, identify, where you are. It's called a block. There's a certain number of properties on a block. Well, apparently the prison, for some reason, decided to put every prison inmate in the state, including those from Berlin, in the single block where the men's prison is. And Mr. Kennedy said they'd done that, and I didn't believe it. But apparently he was right, because the women's prison is in a different block, but none of the people are reported as being there. They're all, like the people from Berlin, reported as being on the men's prison block. And the only thing is that, according to the U.S. government, that's where they are. I asked Representative Goodlander to get it changed, but apparently there's a deadline on how late they will take changes to the census. So they consider that that's where those people live, and that's legitimately part of Ward 3, and you like it or not, you can't change the official government population. And the next thing is a public service announcement. And I'm sure that the city can write this up better, but it really belongs on the website. That between the tax increases and the assessments, the people in manufactured housing are going to be facing a 50% increase in taxes this year. But it's not all going to come at once, because we just got our tax bills, and that's based, half of the taxes for next year are based on last year's taxes. So we got half of the bill already, and we'll pay them in, I guess it's July and October. And then the rest of next year's taxes come up, and you pay them in January and April. But the difference is, if you live in manufactured housing, and between the assessment change and the tax rate change, your tax bill is going to go up 50%. It's not going to go up 50% uniformly. The first two are based on last year. They're going to essentially go up almost none. The second two have got to eat that 50% increase. So the last two payments of this year's taxes, or 2027, whatever, will be double to make it. They have to be big enough to make up for that fact that the taxes are going up 50. The last two payments have to go up 100. And so that means there's going to be people, if you live in a manufactured home that's assessed at $100,000, you're going to get a tax bill along about Thanksgiving that your taxes are up $700 from what they were last year. And if you have escrow account, it's not going to have the money in it to cover it. You're going to have to, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, find $700. And, this is something that concerns me. A lot of people, are kind of short of money that time of year instead of having a bunch of it running around. And the city really needs to warn these people that this increase is coming and they need to prepare for it. So anyway, that's the public service announcement. And I hope you can convince our city government to put that on the website so these people will have a warning. Okay. Now I want to ask the mayor whether I should be like the city manager and take one topic at a time and accept questions, or I should go through it all at once.
Go through it all at once.
Okay. Okay, let's start with parking. Last time we had another disconnect between the slides and the budget. You may remember we were talking about a Jeep. Well, it turns out the Jeep isn't up this year. The Jeep is up 3 years from now. the vehicle that's up this year, if you happen to want to look at the correct page, it is actually a vehicle to maintain meters. That's page 405. It's only 65,000 instead of 71,000. And I'm kind of wondering, how does that wear out? Because every meter is within a mile of the police station. How many miles can you drive in that thing going out and maintaining all the meters? So it would seem like that could last a good long time in a vehicle like that. On the other hand, I got to thinking about, if we move the police station, right now all of the people who are doing meter enforcement downtown can walk from the police station. They probably aren't going to walk from the police station when it moves to Booton Street. So we're going to have police officers driving downtown? Are they going to have to shuttle themselves down in the parking vehicle? Or you have to suddenly buy 2 more parking vehicles? Or are you going to get them golf carts? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but, you know, somebody should be thinking about this. And the other thing is, I came across an old newspaper from around 2017, 2018. Mr. Todd may remember this because he was around then on the parking committee. The city staff recommended that parking rates be increased to $1.75 downtown. But it didn't happen because first we have COVID. No, first we had the downtown complete streets. Then we had COVID. Kept finding excuses not to increase it. So we're, I don't know, nearly a decade late in that increase. And so instead we've been making the property taxpayers in one form or another pay for some of the expenses that the parking funds should pay for. Cleaning out around all the kiosks, that should be paid for in the parking fund. It's not. The parking fund is being subsidized by the TIF district. Well, that really shouldn't be happening. The TIF district is property tax money. It should be relented back to the city if they don't need it to pay the TIF bonds. So we need to think about having a genuine increase in the parking rates to pay for some of the downtown expenses that are necessitated by parking, and maybe even for a few more. And the thing is, one of the things that's not going to change in the new assessments is the downtown properties are not going to have their taxes increase. They're going to be about the same. So they're the ones that need to start looking at, paying some of their own expenses. Book festivals for one. But the thing is, the legislature has now approved something called a special assessment district. And this is like a TIF district, but it isn't. The TIF district, you take property tax money and you spend it only for a few people and the rest of the city doesn't get it. A special assessment district, they pay extra taxes because they're getting more services. And that's the sort of thing that we should be thinking about for downtown. Some of the stuff that downtown's getting that nobody else does, they should be paying higher taxes to receive that. So, if you can increase the parking fees or you can do the special assessment district, and they're going to choke, but they're the ones that are benefiting from this stuff. Okay, enough of parking. We'll go to the airport. On page 453, it says our hangars were built in the 1930s and they're still good until 2035. Well, that's wonderful. We should let those people maintain the golf clubhouse and the middle school and a few other things around the city if they can make their stuff last 100 years. But something I wasn't so happy about on page 421 is a project a couple years out that they're going to get a federal grant to extend the taxiway so it can accommodate DC-9s and Boeing 727s. And those planes were last manufactured in the 1980s. Any of them that's still around are 40 to 60 years old. If you apply to the federal government for a grant to allow Boeing 727s and DC-9s to land at Concord Airport, they're going to laugh you out. Somebody needs to look at this and say, look, what kind of planes really might be landing at Concord Airport, and what kind of a grant do we need for them, not these DC-9s. All right, water. We have a very interesting thing on page 196. The goals for the water are to do a very good job purifying it. That's the only goal. there's no goal to distribute it. And I guess if you don't distribute it, there's no goal to have a precise billing system. We could save a lot of money if we eliminated the distribution and billing of water, and save even more because you only have to treat it once if no one was using it. So maybe we need to add some goals, like the distribution system will try to minimize leaks or replace old mains before they break. But, you know, this is just careless. We have people making 6 figures working on this budget that, you know, can't even think of things like that's not even bothered to be a goal. And another one, if you go to page 396, they're going to replace generator number 3 in 2027 and again in 2032. They're not going to replace number 6 at all. Well, I'd say find out who made number 6 and get one of those for number 3 and only do it once. So this is just sheer carelessness. Okay, let's go to wastewater. And this is something that Councilor Todd was talking about, and that is the difference between the availability fee and the usage fee. Page 545, there's a goal that the fixed portion of the rates should be 30%. Well, mine are already 68%. The people who use 8 cubic feet are going to pay $1.68. I'm going to pay over $1 for using 1, because so much of my bill is in that first cubic foot because of the fact the availability fee is almost double the price per CCF. And this is unfair to the small users. You need to do something like say the availability fee should not be more than equal to the usage fee. I mean, that'll make it 50% for those people, which is well above 30, but we shouldn't be paying 68%. And this $25 million that we're spending for a pumping station on the Heights, we need to not bill that to the water users. We need to have a hookup fee for the people who are able to hook up because we had that, or we can create a special assessment district that only the people that benefit from that pay for it. Because, I mean, I disagree with Councilor Todd, the effect on taxpayers. I mean, he doesn't worry about anything that's not in the tax rate. Well, guess what? If you have a house in the city and you're poor, you can apply for any number of things that will reduce your property taxes. Even some of them, depending on how valuable your place is, you can get a 100% reduction if you're poor enough and old enough. But that doesn't apply to your wastewater rate and your water rate. You pay the 15% increase on that instead of the 5% increase on taxes you're not going to pay anyway. We need to quit hiding the fact that we're increasing everybody's expense by putting it in fees instead of, you know, out where the tax rate is, where it's visible. Okay, wastewater. Oh yes, on page 671, 366,000 of salaries from community development are charged to the wastewater fund. I mean, huh? If I was in community development, I'd stay away from that wastewater plant as long as I could. It smells terrible. I don't know why $366,000 from community development salaries is charged to the wastewater. It just doesn't seem like it's reasonable, but hey, somebody said it's doing it. And if we go back to page 205, one of the wastewater goals is to make sure your rates are competitive. And the answer is apparently there's a graph doing that. But if you look under that goal on page 205, the response to that goal has nothing to do with competitive rates. So I don't know where that comes from. Okay, I think we've nearly made it. Golf. I was trying to figure out about golf, and as near as I can tell, there is no place on the city website you can go to connect to Beaver Meadow. It's not in the recreation department anymore. I don't think it's under the finance department. It doesn't seem to be listed anywhere on the city website, which I thought was highly peculiar. And it would seem like it should at least be mentioned as an amenity. There's a place for amenities, and I couldn't find it there. The only way I finally found out about it was I did a Google search and they have their own website. Well, there's no reason they can't have their own website, but certainly there should be a link from the city's homepage, one would think. And once again, Councilor Todd missed an idea. You didn't consider keeping it as a golf course, but leasing it as a golf course to somebody. Maybe somebody else could manage it more efficiently, and it wouldn't keep sucking all the money from the taxpayers. And the state this year, actually last year, because this was the second biennium, they split the education committee. They decided that there was two different things for the education committee. They now have an education policy committee that determines state policies on education, and an education funding committee that determines how education should be funded. And I propose that cities should do that with golf. They should take the current committee and make it the golf policy committee, and they should create a new golf funding committee. And in line with the mayor's reducing conflicts of interest, nobody on the golf funding committee is allowed to play golf at Beaver Meadow, because that's a conflict of interest. And we had, last year, one of the things that happened is they changed the rates, that a family rate would include up to 3 adults instead of 2. And 2 of the people who voted for that were in families with 3 adults. I mean, wouldn't you call it a conflict of interest? But they do it all the time. They vote all the stuff for themselves. And I don't think that's right. We need somebody that, can be independent for that. And I remember the discussion on golf rates last year a little bit differently from what other people have said. I seem to recall what was said last year is that the recreational fund would only subsidize the clubhouse for 2 years, and the golfers would pick it up after that. And I think if you will go back and look at the video, you might discover that. Whereas they seem to be now changing the story, that now they want to keep drawing the money from the Recreation Reserve. I also disagree with the contention that the Recreation Reserve is not tax money. Where do they think that money got in the Recreation Reserve Fund? It's tax money. So you either charge it from the Recreation Reserve or charge it from current taxes, but it's the property taxpayers that are paying it and not the golfers. And the other thing that was interesting that somebody pointed out to me, either Councilor Brown and I were asleep last month, or they pulled a sneaky one on it. When I looked at the rates, if you're a member of the Derryfield Country Club, you can play golf in Concord for $28. If you're a resident of Concord, it costs you $61. Why does it cost a resident of Concord twice as much to play golf as a member of the Derryfield Country Club? And how did that get in the rates? I don't seem to recall it ever coming up anywhere. And I think we voted last year that the city manager could change the rates if he wanted to. And he said at that time that if you don't like what I do, you can eliminate that policy. I think it's time to eliminate that policy. We shouldn't be having people from Derryfield playing golf in Concord for half of what the Concord residents pay, when they're paying most of it already in property taxes. And the last thing is, it was very interesting seeing that new section at the end where all of the expenses were tried to show out again. It just made me twice as confused, because depending on where you look, the golf fund has got $1.4 million in interest. It's got $250,000 this year plus the other $246. It's just terribly confusing, and the principal and interest for the irrigation isn't there at all. I think that generally accepted accounting practice, everything for the golf course should be in one account. You can pay for it out of general revenues if you want to, but your financial statement should show everything for the golf course, the irrigation, the clubhouse, everything in one place. You can see it, and you'll know how much you are subsidizing it, instead of having these numbers that are different. If you look on page 652, the numbers are quite different if you look at the ones up above. And I care enough about this that I'm probably going to address this with the GFOA and the city auditors. So I am just notifying our officials that maybe if they think that those people might agree with me, it's time to put that all in one account. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikert. Any questions from Mr. Schweikert? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Schweikert.
Thank you.
Saw a hand back there. There you go. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Martha Lemire. I'm the Executive Director at Kimball Jenkins. And I'm here to talk about the Event Arts Program. Due to the generous support through the City of Concord's Event Arts Program, the first Holidays at the Estate happened at Kimball Jenkins. It took place this past year, November 29th through December 19th of 2025. It was free and open to the public, and over 3,000 visitors attended Holidays at the Estate over the 21-day period. Attendees of all ages enjoyed the illuminated campus, the interior decorated rooms of the 1882 mansion, viewing of the juried Winter Wonderland exhibit featuring 12 local artists, free performances featuring local schools, community groups, and professional artists. We had several pop-up artist markets and lots of interactive art activities that were free to the public. Many of the visitors that attended Holidays at the Estate came from distances outside the Concord area. While we were greeting attendees within the mansion, conversations and gathered data confirms that 40% of the attendees were from outside the Concord area. Visitors from Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine took part in the holiday festivities at Kimball Jenkins, as well as many who traveled distances from across New Hampshire, including Lebanon, Keene, Plymouth, Portsmouth, Dover, Sunapee, Peterborough, and Durham. Many of our visitors asked for recommendations of other places to visit while they were here, asked for information about restaurants, as many were in town for an extended period and had visited the city before. Others had visited Concord before, but had never been to Kimball Jenkins and came specifically for Holidays at the Estate. Both scenarios demonstrate that Concord is a tourism destination that not only supports small businesses in the arts, but raises an overall awareness of the city's unique opportunities, such as Holidays at the Estate. We feel Holidays at the Estate has the makings of becoming one of Concord's signature events. The overall success in the event's first year is remarkable based upon overall engagement and feedback from attendees as well as participating artists alike. I just want to share a couple examples of feedback we got, very short. This was from a Concord resident. We live less than 10 minutes away and drive by Kimball Jenkins every day, wondering what it was. Then when the outside lights went on, I said to my wife, something was different and we should go check it out. I am so glad we did, because now we know to come to future events. And somebody from out of town said to us, I never knew this place existed. I'm so happy we found it and all the shops and restaurants in downtown Concord. We will definitely remember this for next year. And I want to point out that it also highlighted another area of Concord, our historic district. Holidays at the Estates was truly one of the best opportunities for Kimball Jenkins and the city to connect and collaborate with the community, artists, businesses, and organizations. We cannot thank the City of Concord enough for its generosity and belief in events such as Holidays at the Estate. These types of events foster community pride, unify residents, and drive tourism dollars into our city. Thank you for establishing the Events Art Grant Program to help bring events such as ours from a vision to a reality. We cannot thank you enough for this funding. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Lemire? Councilor
Hi.
Brown?
Hi. How many times did you apply for the grant and how much did you receive?
So this was the first year that we had applied for the event, and the first time we applied and we received $25,000 for the first year. We applied again, and this year we're receiving $15,000. It was a wonderful opportunity. I think as the folks from the book festival testified, it was a great opportunity and seed money to get this event started. This is an event that we plan on doing annually and hoping to expand it as well.
Follow up?
Can I ask, did you have any other sponsors?
Yes, we actually I have them listed right here. Hang on one second. Delta Dental, Merrimack County Savings Bank. We also got, I'm sorry, I'm looking in my notes here. We had 6. Darrigan Clark Law Firm. We also had, I'm sorry, I'm not recalling off the top of my head.
Fine, thank you.
I had it right here. We had 6 other business and company sponsors as well.
Other questions? Councilor Todd.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to say first that I get the Kimball Jenkins newsletter. I've been very impressed with all of the activities that I'm sure you've had a big part in creating that are going on there now. So I think that the Kimball Jenkins estate is very lucky to have you as its executive director. If folks wanted to, and I'm also very pleased to hear that you're going to be continuing the event and that it was such a success. If folks wanted to get the Kimball Jenkins newsletter of events and classes and other things that you're doing there, or just generally for more information, where would they go to?
They can visit our website. They can also request being added to our newsletter. It has grown. I have to say, when I first started, there was about 2,500 people on that newsletter list, and now we have 4,200. So it is growing.
Follow-up, thank you. Could you just tell us, for the folks at home, everybody listening, what the website name is?
Sure. I'm sorry. It's kimballjenkins.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. I will remind the council and the public that we'll be back here on Thursday evening at 5:30 for a work session on the budget, and also another public hearing following the work session, and then city council action. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.